Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with... Oh, something's wrong. There we go. We're back with your guys' pick, the awards for 2024. It's going to be a little bit out of order. I apologize. Not a lot you can do about that right now. It's a solved issue for the future, but for right now, it's more irritating to set up as is. So, I'm not going to give quite as much commentary here, I don't think. But I am curious what things you guys pick. If that makes any sense. Because, like, I didn't pick these. I didn't nominate these. You did. So, without further ado, take a drink. Wait for Dream Whisperer's thing. Because that looks like that was a sub that didn't go through. There it is. Thank you, Dream Whisperer, as always. Right, so, without further ado, I did, actually, Ben Wilmot, or Ben One Eye. It was not my kimono at all. But, here's the idea. So, last year, the Lorewalker's picks were terrible. No offense. And it was mostly because people would go to nominate, and they'd be like, well, I haven't watched that many games this year, or, well, such and such is such an obvious pick, I don't want to nominate that, or whatever, right? So you wouldn't nominate. And at the end of the day, there were like 2 nominations, in some cases 3 for certain categories. So last year's Lorewalker's picks was only like 20 things, because nobody picked anything. So this year, I'm like, okay, you need to nominate. If you don't, I'll fill in the gaps. Now, the interesting thing is, because I said that, more people nominated. So I did fill in a couple of gaps, but it really is just like 2 or 3. Everything else is all you guys. Apparently, I just need to scare you into submission. I mean, into... look. We also had a lot of votes this year, which is great. It's one of the reasons this got delayed so long, was people kept voting even into January. So without further ado, the first thing we're going to talk about is the winner for the most unexpectedly good game. So you guys had several options here. You voted for Invisible Ink, Zelda Oracle of Ages, surprised by that one, Paper Mario 2, R, of course, which, yeah, I could see that as being unexpectedly good. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, which I myself commented on. Zelda A Link Between Worlds, not actually sure about that one. By the way, this is in an ascending order, so each of these is like, what is this, like 12th place or whatever. Four Swords Adventures. Now that one doesn't surprise me, because Four Swords Adventures is a great game that most people have never even heard of. But Four Swords Adventures lost to Shoota's Blood and Teeth, which lost to One Shot, which lost to Minish Cap. But at the top 3, we have, in the number 3 slot, Pokemon Legends Arceus. That one doesn't surprise me at all. And that is to say, it doesn't surprise me that you would consider that unexpectedly good. Did anyone predict that Pokemon Arceus was going to just knock it out of the park? Untitled Goose Game. Really? That's sort of a strange one, if I'm being honest. But that is the number 2 pick for y'all for most unexpectedly good game. I suppose there is enough actual real gameplay in it and, you know, fun in it that I could see that being unexpectedly good. But your pick for the actual most unexpectedly good game of 2024 is... Maneater. A game in which you play a frickin' shark. I don't know what else to add to that, honestly. Interesting boss battles, fun gimmicks, good RPG kind of stuff. You can eat people, you can do this. I don't know what else to add to this. I have to admit, while there was an issue with it, that stupid DLC, I will freely admit that I was not expecting Maneater to be as incredibly fun as it actually was. For the record, I highly recommend this game. It is very fun, very visceral, very ridiculous, very arcadey. It's actually got some interesting design to it, too. It's very frenetic. You probably can't even tell in the lower left there, but my health is going down very rapidly, but also going back up, and then going back down, and then going back up. Because I heal when I eat people, and, well, what can I say? People are delicious. And they're like trying to shoot me with a gun, and I'm just like, nom, nom, nom. Get back here, you little chicken nugget. It is a bit too long. That's almost entirely the DLC's fault. So next contest on the ballot is Most Unexpectedly Bad Game. So at the bottom is Lunar? Then Zelda 1. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Doom 3. I imagine that's people who weren't aware of Doom 3. Zelda Oracle of Seasons. Yeah, even I was a little surprised by how much that one didn't work. Shadows Over Loathing. That's actually a good pick in my opinion. Oh, I have no idea where, girl. Starfield. Okay. Shadows Over Loathing, which was a game that I was highly anticipating because I really loved West Over Loathing. You know, the previous one, the Western one. But Shadows Over Loathing just kind of zigged every time that West of Loathing zagged, right? Like the humor wasn't as well written, the satire didn't pop as much, the game design wasn't nearly as good. It was just kind of like a worse version of West in every way. So I agree that was surprisingly bad. Yume Nikki. I can't comment on that. I never even heard of the game until we reviewed it, but apparently that was unexpectedly bad. Wargroove. Yes, that's a big one for me. As I mentioned earlier, I was really looking forward to Wargroove, and it did not succeed. It's just the nicest way. But for the fourth most unexpectedly bad game, we have Metroid 1. I don't know what to add to that. Skyward Sword. Was it unexpectedly bad because it was a Zelda game, or was it because it was the port, which is supposed to fix things and make it better? See, I don't know. I can only give vague commentary here because I don't know why you guys picked things. But I do know that the second most unexpectedly bad game for you guys was Modern Warfare 2R, a game that I couldn't even play. Literally couldn't even play it. Physically could not get the game working, thanks to them sucking. Large-scale recurring issue for a lot of players, by the way, not just me. So I felt comfortable reviewing it as a game that I was incapable of playing. And finally, the most unexpectedly bad game of 2024 for the Lorewalkers is... So you're going to have to explain this one to me. Because near as I can tell, I'm the only one on the face of the planet who was actually expecting this game to not be bad. So what I want to know is, what about this is unexpectedly bad? This won by a huge margin, by the way, by like almost double the votes. So everybody voted for Starfield for most unexpectedly bad. I don't know what to comment on here, because even I wouldn't put this as unexpectedly bad. Like, I guess the severity of bad? I mean, yeah, admittedly, TSB has a good point. Having to sit down and talk about the basic fundaments of game and story design is pretty bad. Yeah. Starfield must win. Starfield just wants to run away with all the awards this year. Just... I mean, I honestly... I've said this before. My actual prediction for golden number for Starfield was about 30. Which, I even said that knowing that that's actually kind of an insult for a AAA BRPG. But that was my prediction. Remember that? Not the second worst game I've ever covered. Anyways. So, best RPG. Hi, Goki. So, you guys had several things. So in, what is this, 6th place? Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7th, excuse me. In 7th place, Shadows Over Loathing for best RPG. In 6th place, Lunar. I have nothing to add to that. In 5th place, Breath of Fire 3, which, yeah, okay, I'll give you that. In 4th place, Pentiment. I don't like to get into genre definition things, but let me just say that I was very tempted to axe Pentiment from this list, because it's not an RPG on any level. But, whatever. So, Pentiment in the number 4 thing. Now, tied for second is Final Fantasy 16. Cool. And Deus Ex Human Revolution. Guys, we need to have a chat about definitions. Let's just have a chat here about what definitions are. But either way, all of them got absolutely destroyed by your best pick, which is over double the votes for... Now, I just spent a while arguing and debating why this is just an amazing game, like 30 minutes ago, because I took a very short lunch break. So I don't really have much to add to this, but yeah, no, this makes perfect sense. Paper Mario 2R is an incredibly good game. And I believe as of this moment, the best RPG I've ever played. So, yeah, 100%. So let's see what our worst RPG is. Let's see here. Come on, load. Come on. Okay, so this... I want everyone to get your lore shocks ready, okay? Could you do that for me, please? Okay, so... in 5th place, Deus Ex Human Revolution. What are you guys on? In 4th place, Breath of Fire 2. Yeah. In 3rd place, Final Fantasy 16. In 2nd place, Breath of Fire 1. And, try to be shocked, the worst RPG of 2024. I mean, of course it is. What else is there to add to this? This is my shocked face. For those who don't know, that's the point of the lore shock emote. It's supposed to be there when you say something that is absolutely unsurprising. That's the point of the lore shock emote. It's there because this is my shocked face, right? Yeah, Starfield is going to sweep a little bit. It's going to sweep a little. So, yeah. It won for all the wrong reasons. Starfield, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be seeing more Starfield in the future. I spent so much of those 2 days I was doing recording footage just getting footage of Starfield, I swear to God. Okay, next category. What do I got? Best platformer. Okay, so we got some competition with basically nothing but Metroid games. So, Samus Returns, Zero Mission, Fusion, Tinykin. Surprised you all remember that one, but yeah, Tinykin was actually a really good game. AM2R. It's another Metroid game. The Messenger. I am shocked The Messenger was that high up on the list. Super Metroid, which actually did not get that many votes, which I find amusing, because your pick for Best Platformer of 2024 is Metroid Dread. Now, I don't begrudge you this in the slightest, even though I actually hold Super is to be slightly better. It's not a huge gap between the two, but it's there. But at the same time, it's really, really easy to see why a game this accessible, this playable, this replayable with this many options in terms of difficulties is as fun as it is. And of course, it is extremely fluid to play. As I've said several... Yeah, the controls are tied, I think, as of this moment. Yeah, tied for the best controls in a platformer I've ever seen. Alongside Mega Man 11 and Super Mario Odyssey, if you're wondering. And Mario Wonder. I think I'll add that to that list. They're all basically tied. They're all extremely, extremely good controlling games. Yeah, no, I see it. I'm not even going to argue it. Like, listen, Budfalkers, it's not my fault Super's an amazing game. I'm not going to argue it, because Dread is a fantastic game, and it is a very, very, very good platformer. I even agree that Dread's interesting because more of its platforming challenges are deliberate platforming challenges, you know, like the Shine Spark puzzles, as opposed to Super, where most of the fun, interesting platforming puzzles are more or less incidental. So, no argument. Worst platformer. I'm surprised. Like, this just barely got enough categories to even qualify. So, at the bottom, we've got Metroid Fusion, Metroid 2, Metroid 1, and the other game that's going to be just in the rewards all over the place is... I mean, I don't even know what to add to this, to be honest with you. I even agreed with this, because I did argue that this is a platformer. It's not a Metroidvania, but it is a platformer. It's actually a 3D platformer, which is part of the problem. But it's also a really, really bad 3D platformer. Yeah, again, try Lore Shock. Lore Shock. I should just replace something up here. Oh no, this stomped Metroid 1. Completely crushed it. Yeah. Yeah, 1 was the first game, which had issues. This is Garbo. Let's see, what do we got for next? Next is Best Zelda Game. A lot of competition on this one. This was actually pretty close. So at the bottom we have Echoes of Wisdom and Tears of the Kingdom, which are right next to each other. Then we have Breath of the Wild, which actually beat Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sorry. What are you smoking? I'm sorry. It's just... I'm shocked by that. Why is Breath of the Wild beating Tears of the Kingdom? Beating Breath of the Wild is Link Between Worlds. Yeah, great game. Above that is Ocarina. I'm a little shocked Ocarina is this far down the list. That's a little surprising to me. Usually Ocarina is listed as the best video game ever, of any type whatsoever. But Ocarina got 4th. Link to the Past got 3rd. Again, I am shocked that Link to the Past beat Ocarina. In number 2, however, and this... So, okay, the number, you know what's left, like by process of elimination. These were both very, very close to each other. But number 2 went to Majora's Mask, which by definition and process of elimination means... It's pretty close. But Twilight won by, what is that? It doesn't actually give me the numbers. It's like 5 votes or something like that. Which, when you're counting like 70 votes, that's pretty close, all things considered. I don't argue this one at all. It is the best Zelda game, period, as of this moment in time in terms of review. And we've covered all of them. So, we even covered the one that came out last year. We are up to date on the Zeldas. Tell you what, overall, I will add Terraria to the list. How's that sound? Down here. I could see that Von Falkenstein. And it's just, I guess I'm just not that way, you know? It's probably the exact same reason why most people think Mega Man 2 is the best classic Mega Man game. Not because it's the best classic Mega Man game, but because it established what a classic Mega Man game is, right? Honestly, Ocarina fits into the same category, if we're being honest with ourselves. Ocarina is the template for a Zelda game. But of course, that means we have to cover the worst Zelda game. Why? Kid and Van? Ah, whatever. So, Wind Waker. I actually feel that. Because Wind Waker is a game I think a lot of people remember the intro and the outro on, for good reason. And tend to forget everything in the middle. Oracle of Seasons. Yeah, I can track that. That was just a vacuous game. Phantom Hourglass. No surprise. That one's on there. Skyward Sword. Again, no surprise. A lot of competition on this one. Breath of the Wild. The dichotomy of man. In the number 3 worst Zelda is Zelda 2. In the number 2 worst Zelda is Spirit Tracks. Which makes your guys' pick for worst Zelda... Now I agree with this completely. As I already mentioned. It's a first game. It's buggy. It's flawed. It's irritating. It has really bad guidance. It's actually designed to require a walkthrough. By admission. What's really funny is this stream I was doing okay with overall for the most part when I was going through until we got to the second quest, and my ability to deal with the game kind of went away, and I can only apologize for that because I started running out of tolerance, right? Like my fuel gauge when we hit second quest was already pretty depleted by level 6 and level 9. And wow. What's really a shame of it is, if I remember correctly, the game was like either very, very close to or right at a net positive score, not counting second quest. And if a little polishing was done in level 6 and level 9, it would actually be legit. But then Second Quest exists, and that dragged it so far down. And for the record, I stand by that completely. Anyways, so now we have best HUD and or interface. Looks like you guys didn't even have... Oh no, we're doing it in reverse. So you had 4 options for this, which is oxygen not included. Yep. Look, as I mentioned, that's a really, really, really good one. Link to the Past. Yep, absolutely, with it. Paper Mario 2 R. Yeah, no, the remaster really, really, really polished that one up. And your pick for the best HUD and interface of 2024 is... So, I understand that HUD and interface also means controls, and this game does control pretty well, because it's a Doom game. I also bothered to show off the map here, because it's one of the best 3D maps in gaming. But I'd like to know why. Doom 4, specifically. I don't mean this as an unkindness. It's just when I think of all the great things in Doom 4, HUD and interface are not the first things that come to my mind. Would anyone care to elaborate? Again, no judgment. As usual, I just don't understand. Like, it's got a clean HUD. It's not the greatest color distinction, but it does have color distinction. It controls fine. And that's it. It's got a good map. I don't know what else to add to it. Like, I would pick every other game on that list over Doom 4 personally, but this isn't my pick, is it? Which leads me to worst HUD and or interface. So we've got Pokemon Legends Arceus. Please explain that. What was bad about the interface of Pokemon Arceus? Final Fantasy 16. Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at you with all 3 of these. Because I don't have anything to add. Like, I disagree with all 3 of those. The number 2 worst is Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, which makes perfect sense. That was my pick, if you remember. And that interface and HUD and everything was absolutely garbage. But you didn't pick that for the worst. So let me explain this for a second here. For those of you who don't know how this system works, is we use ranked choice polling, aka correct polling, rather than first past the post. And that means that you pick, you know, like you get 5 options. So you say, I want this, 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 and this in this order. It's also granular. So you can pick 1 thing, 2 thing, 3 thing, 4 things, or 5 thing when there are 5 things to pick. Make sense? And you pick them in order. So if your thing doesn't win, your first pick doesn't win, it defaults to your second pick. If your second pick doesn't win, it defaults to your third pick, etc., etc. It's a great system, and I will never stop praising how amazing it is. It's why we use it for our voting. The reason I bring all that up is I was to look at some of these things, like, say, I don't know, so the best HUD interface thing, that was 2 rounds, so it took two rounds of culling. The worst Zelda game took 6 rounds. The best Zelda game took 7 rounds. You know, stuff like that, right? So that's how much... Basically, think of it as more rounds equals less consensus, but better granular consensus. Does that make sense? In other words, if there's only 1 round of voting, it means everyone picked it. So enjoy your worst interface of 2024. Now, unlike most of the entire rest of the list, I actually agree with this completely. Starfield's HUD, interface, and controls are all garbage. So I'm completely with you on this one. This is just... What were you thinking, people? You've made interface before, right? Right? No? No, okay. Have you heard of interface before? Have you drifted in the region? Have you... Oh god, look at that map. Oh, look at that map. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Yeah, Bethesda has always had bad interfaces, all the way back to Morrowind is the one I know the best. The only one I have ever been able to tolerate is the Oblivion Fallout 3 one. And I stress the word tolerate. It's still bad. I still gave negatives to Oblivions. I am still going to give negatives to Fallout 3s. But at the least I could get used to it, right? Like, I could actually get used to those interfaces. But only those two. Everything else, ugh. Skyrims. Oh my god. That's a good question, Kitten Fan. I don't know. Yeah, can we just give Fallout to Obsidian, please? No, they're busy making their own Oblivion. Okay, or Skyrim, excuse me. I am looking forward to Avowed, by the way. Best gimmick. We had a lot of options. This is a 9-round vote here. So, the time portals from Zelda Oracle of, I believe that would be Ages, where you can warp back and forth between the past and the present. The hacking minigame in Deus Ex Human Revolution. The very existence of the minions in Tinykin. I like that. That's a good one. The screen interactions with One Shot, which you guys actually didn't see, but I swear they exist. It's when like you get a pop-up window outside of the game. The core conceit of playing as Cthulhu in Cthulhu Saves the World. The scenario editor in Wargroove, which I myself gave it to, if you remember. Playing as Godbert in FF14. Just going to raise my eyebrow at you. In number 3, we have the Echoes from Zelda Echoes of the Wisdom, which, yeah, really great gimmick. In number 2 slot, we have the Masks from Majora's Mask. Naturally, and I know, try to be shocked, but your guys' vote for the best gimmick of 2024 is the meme answer. I'm not even mad, because it is a good game and it's a good gimmick. But you know that this one won because it's the meme, and not because it actually deserves to. That poor kid. That poor kid. Well, that's my point, ISC. I do actually agree that this is a good gimmick. It is. 100%. Poor kid. It's just, I don't think that's why it won. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyways. So, worst gimmick of 2024. What do we got? What do we got? Okay, so, yep. So we've got the skipping minigame in Breath of Fire 3. The hacking minigame of Deus Ex Human Revolution. You do that a lot, by the way. Y'all like to nominate things for best and worst. The grooves in Wargroove. How many of you remember what that is? Everything to do with space travel in Starfield, which I completely agree with, by the way. Just, why was that a thing? This is actually a good one. I almost thought about this for worst gimmick for me. And that would be durability in Breath of the Wild. Remember that durability... so we have a concept. I don't have a codified Loreium, but I do have a terminology I try to consistently use. It's the such and such problem, capital P, right? And if I ever say the such and such problem, what I mean by that is it's not one thing wrong. It's like lots of different things that all coincide to make a single mistake worse, right? We actually have the inverse of this, too, when a whole bunch of things coincide to make something really, really awesome, you know, like Majora's Mask with the time mechanic, for example. That's the inverse of a problem. So the durability problem is several things. What is it, like 18 things we counted? All of which kind of bump into each other and make it much, much worse than it really should be. Because, yeah, exactly, the concept of durability isn't a huge issue, not really. And as we saw in Tears, it was almost entirely solved with just a few changes to, very, very specific changes to, like, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing. But in Breath, everything coincided to just be like, screw you. And there it is. But no, your actual pick for the worst gimmick 2024 is BattleNet. Not pictured here, because I don't have any footage from Modern Warfare 2R. Having to fire up a completely separate game in order to function as a launcher to then fire up your other game. I'm kind of with you on this. The only reason I didn't pick it myself is because it felt like it violated the spirit of the choice. But I also can't disagree with you. We literally couldn't play the game. We physically could not play the game because of that gimmick. So, yeah. Moving on. Okay, so best menu and or loading screens. You'll notice I skipped over this one. I couldn't come up with enough categories to fulfill it. And the thing I was going to have win, actually, I was wrong. I was gaslighting myself. It didn't actually have... it didn't have loading screens. I was wrong, so I was just an idiot. So your picks were Breath of Fire 2. I'm assuming that's part of the menu thing and the dancing guy, because I don't actually know what's going on with that. Oh yeah, WoW's going to crush the loading screen things this year. Absolutely crush it. Just like StarCraft 2 should have if we had this category back then. Oh, I was ghosted months ago, Triaxia. Final Fantasy 16. Okay, cool. I'm with it. Hitman 3, yeah. Hitman 3 has some really solid ones for loading missions. And, of course, some good menu design, too. But your pick... Yeah, WoW's going to be kind of the gimme for 2025. Your actual pick for best menu and or loading screens is, try to be shocked, now, I wanted to contest this, but the problem is I get it, because its menu is fine. And it doesn't really have loading screens. So it doesn't really qualify under either category with one huge exception. And here, I'll actually go down here. I'm sorry, I need to actually skip forward a little bit. There it is. That right there is why I'm with you. It is incredibly iconic and beautiful in its simplicity. Yeah, no, it is iconic for a freaking reason. The drum beat, I couldn't find a good sound effect for it, I'm sorry. The drum beat, the showcasing, it doesn't even animate on the way in. Just here, watch how it just comes in. Boom! No fade, just boom, dawn of the first day, and then it's gone. I cannot disagree. I can't bring myself to disagree. Worst bug. So this is interesting. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I'm finding my place in the thing. So, you voted for the resolution problem we kept having in Star Wars Squadrons, which, yeah, that was extremely frustrating. The general jank of controls and interface in Mercenaries. You called it the PS2 era jank, which, yeah, I mean, that's not really one bug, but the whole game definitely had that jank problem with it. Then we had the number 2 slot, Stealth from Starfield. For those of you who don't remember, I already talked about this earlier, Starfield's stealth was so buggy that it essentially wasn't doing the whole formula in calculation, which meant that it was literally stealthier to wander around completely naked in order to sneak through areas, which we did. However, your actual worst, worst bug of the year is Modern Warfare 2 R's launcher, which once again I do not have footage of because it physically did not work. This does qualify as a bug. The launcher being required is design. The launcher bugging out with near 100% certainty upon launch, that's a bug. It's a repeatable bug, it's a persistent bug, and it's a bug that didn't just affect me. So, once again, I find it hard to argue with you. Okay, here we go. Here's a 9-round one. So, best tool or weapon or bit of kit. So we've got the chain gun from Doom Eternal, flash shifting from Metroid Dread, Brunhilde, that's from Iron Harvest, Odin, the summon Odin from Final Fantasy 16, the Tri-Rod, aka the Echoes, in Echoes of Wisdom, the double claw shot in Twilight Princess, the disguises in general in Hitman 3. And the number 3 slot, the chainsaw from Doom 4. And the number 2 slot, the Ultra Hand from Tears of the Kingdom. Making your actual pick for the best weapon of 2024 the Super Shotgun from Doom 4. This is exactly what you're like. This is the wrong kind of blood. Sorry. This is actual footage with me with Mayada because I really wanted you to hear the damn thing. Yeah, the Super Shotgun, yeah, it's awesome and it's phenomenal. But I disagree. I think the Super Shotgun in 5 is actually better. Worst weapon or tool. Okay, so this is a funny one. So you've got the X-Ray Scope. You voted that least, by the way. That was my pick. But X-Ray Scope. The Dominion Rod from Twilight Princess, which I get why people hate it, but I can't put myself to bring it into worst. Even though it's only really useful for its one dungeon, it's still really actually a pretty cool and inventive tool for that one dungeon. They do some really good puzzle design with it. Hello, baby. What are you doing down here? It is a hat. It goes on your head. Would you like help?
Yeah.
No, you got it. You don't need my help. See? Do you want to see what you look like? It is criminally underutilized. I do agree. Oh, come here. Let me show it. Oh, you took it off. Why did you take it off?
I like it off and on.
Okay. Yes, that is my fan. What are you doing?
I like to get around stuff.
Okay. It is kind of difficult to do. Now, I can't spin you, okay? Okay?
You want to lost me?
I can't. Although you're a good jumper. How did you get so good at jumping?
Even that. Even I can't jump up to the top. I can't jump up to the top.
That's because it's pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah.
You say hi, stream. Can you wave?
Wait.
Wave.
Wait.
Super wave. Oh no, we're gonna fall. We're gonna fall. No. Okay, you're strong. You're so strong. How did you get so strong?
I got when I was in bed. I'm dying.
The number 4 slot. The Dominion Rod. Now, you're going to have to explain this one. The third worst kit. The Fishing Coin. From Breath of Fire. I'm not sure which one. Doesn't actually say. So, what? Why is that the third worst? So many of these I don't understand. Now, number 2, this is... Okay, 3. Breath of Fire 3. What's the Fishing Coin do in 3? I don't remember. Yeah, I liked fishing in 3. It was one of the weirdly best things about 3, in gameplay-wise. And the number 2 slot... I get why you picked this, but I just want to stress that I completely disagree with this. The Iron Boots from Ocarina of Time. 3D, which is what we played. The version that fixes the problems with the Iron Boots. Yeah, no, like I said, I get why you voted for this, but I completely disagree. Because in the 3D version, they're fine. Just boop, done, boop, done. It's just a quick tap, and that's all it is. It actually makes the water temple substantially better because it fixes so much of the smoothness of going through it. But that's okay, because that didn't win. The actual winner for the worst tool, and I had to really dig for footage of this, is the poop hair from Yumeniki. Now, you may or may not notice that what you are seeing right now is me on the bicycle and not with the poop hair. That's because I couldn't find any footage of me interacting with it for longer than literally a second. At the end of the game, we put on the poop hair, and I was like, okay, that's dumb, and I immediately turned it in to finish the game. So I literally do not have footage of this kit, this tool, this weapon. I have absolutely no idea what it does, or why people voted for it. So this is all on you. I honestly barely even remembered it existed. And I had to ask someone to clarify, what game had the poop hair? So, anyways. Moving on. So, best level. Let's actually do worst level first. Hang on. So, best tool was the super shotgun from Doom 4. So, worst level. Okay. So, the first pick was A7M2, which is an ancient adversary. I believe that's Doom 2. And maybe, I'm not actually sure. Don't quote me on that. It's one of the Dooms. It's one of the Dooms. But either way, if that's the level I'm thinking of, yeah. Then the Sashimi Quest Chain and Breath of Fire 3, which, yeah, it's one of the worst parts. Like, honestly, having gone back through it, I think the Sashimi Quest Chain is worse than the damn desert. And I'm not a big fan of the desert, even still. I still think the Sashimi is worse. The map Freedom Fighters from Hitman 3, which I also agree with. It's one of the very, 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 very few maps that were a net negative in Hitman 3. The Air Temple in Wind Waker, which I 100% agree with. That was incredibly frustrating, and it's extraordinarily easy to lose tons and tons of time doing it. The Sten section. Something that's technically a Loreium, but we don't actually encounter often enough to use that often, which is probably a good thing. The Sten section of Breath of Fire 2 is when it refers to a concept where there's a character. The character's like, hi, I'm a character. You have no warning whatsoever that you're about to do a solo section for me. And here's a solo section for me. And this is important. This is what makes it a Sten section. It's not designed around the fact that you just have the one character. So no warning and not designed around it. And it sucks. If you remember, when we played through, I was not only cheating, but I knew the Sten section was coming and had spent the whole game prepping for it. So I was actually capable of doing the Sten section. If you don't know what's coming, it sucks. And yeah, funnily enough, FF10 also has a Sten section. In fact, it has like 4. Anyways, number 4 slot, Temple of the Ocean King from Phantom Hourglass. I was thinking about that one for my own picks for worst level, because yeah, that's not a great stage. Kind of like it's not actually terrible if you only had to go through it once, but you don't, do you? You have to go through it a whole lot more than once, which leads me, of course, excuse me, to the third worst, which is the Desert of Death in Breath of Fire 3. As I mentioned, it's not as bad as some other parts of Breath of Fire 3, but I still think it turbo sucks. Especially given how punishing it is, especially in terms of time, if you screw up. And it is quite easy to screw up. So the second worst level for you guys, traveling to Mars in Yume Nikki. You probably don't even remember that. What it boils down to is you have to enter a room, like you have to do a whole thing just to get to this room. Then you have to enter a room and leave it, and enter it and leave it. Each time you enter it, you have to wait, I think it was like 8 or 12 seconds to see if it triggers, then leave, then enter, then leave. I think you had to sleep or something. But the point is, it was a random chance. It was RNG whether it happened at all, and that's it. Enter room, wait, leave. Enter room, wait, leave. Enter room, wait, leave. And when it finally succeeds, you go to Mars. Cool. But your actual pick for the worst level, which honestly I was very tempted by, I almost picked this as my worst, but Infinity Dungeon is worse, is Mission 4, Age of Sigmar. For those of you who are not here for this mission, we almost put this game down because I was starting to suspect this mission was physically impossible. It's hard, God, it's hard to even summarize how bad this level is. It's atrociously bad. You have, so, okay, your unit cap in this RTS game, because this is an RTS game, is extraordinarily small. Like, you're going to have like 4 units, okay? Units that get in combat can't move after they've gotten in combat until they've left combat, which in that case means killing or dying. You have to, like, there's a group of people and they're trying to get through the area, and you could take these spots, which you notice is taking absolutely forever to claim a spot. If you claim a spot, you can actually build something on that spot, because there's no free building. You have to build it on that spot. The only way we did this is we came up with this extremely stupid strategy of basically ignoring the mechanics of the game and the mission, beelining one of the bonus objectives, smashing it out immediately, using that to slow down the initial wave, and then rushing for the second bonus objective. And just... whatever I'm explaining to you does not explain it. If you were there, you remember how bad this was. It's worth noting Age of Sigmar had nothing but bad mission design. But even amongst a game filled with bad mission design, this was insane. So I completely agree with you. And again, if it wasn't for the Infinity Dungeon, I would put this as the worst level of 2021. Yeah, this took hours to go through. This is like a 10-minute mission. I hated this. I hated this with a fiery passion. Do not play this game. But now let's pick best. I wanted to do best next for a reason. So, at the bottom we have Presidia from Project Wingman. I don't remember which level that is. I assume it's a level from Project Wingman. Based on context clues, I'm assuming it's the aerial dogfight where it's nothing but dogfighting for like 30 minutes. Because everyone talked about that like that was the best mission of the game. So I'm assuming that's it. I remember that von Falkenstein. The next best mission, so it's level, quest, or mission. It's the same kind of category. So the next best thing you picked was making the man fall on his butt in Untitled Goose Game. Of course. Above that is the level Apex Predator. Probably overall the best gameplay mission of Hitman 3, which was, yeah, it was extremely good. However, you thought there was a quest which was better than that, which was playing as Godbert in FF14. Above that, you put the Couple's Mask quest chain, which is, let's be honest, it is the quest chain of Majora's Mask. So, yeah, I'm actually giving you that one. But there were 2 levels you put above the Couple's Mask quest chain from Majora's Mask. And they're tied. So first, as I talked about during the stream, there's a reason this level is so iconic. There's a reason this level is considered like one of the standards of gameplay tutorialization and level design. And there's a reason why it holds up even to this very day. E1, M1. They did a lot right with this, and I don't know what else to add to that. Like I said, we did a pretty reasonable dive into it on stream. I actually hold this up there with the Nintendo level of tutorialization and first mission design. And if you know me, that is extremely high praise coming from me. So, yeah, once again, I don't blame you for this. It's probably, like, I kind of disagree, because obviously it's not the best level. I mean, most of the previous missions you just mentioned are better than this. But I can see the iconicness of it, and then, you know, the historical significance of it, and all that fun stuff. So, okay, sure, I give it to you. But as I mentioned, there was another thing that actually tied it, which is... Yes, that's right. You and I are apparently in agreement on at least one thing. The Snow Peak Ruins is, I'm going to say this one more time, the best the best Zelda dungeon ever made. It is good across the board. Everything I said good about it during my pick stands the test of time for your pick as well. Good layout, good enemies, good bosses, good gimmicks, good cleverness, good puzzles. It's got a town section built into the dungeon. It's Metroid-y in how it unlocks and develops as you go through it, as you get shortcuts and then figure out how to navigate it better. Yeah, no, Snow Peak Ruins is fantastic. It is a dungeon disguised as a mansion. And it's just, it's wild. It's really wild. Even I wasn't really expecting this to nail it. If you remember, one of the most common questions we got during the entire Zelda series run was, what's your favorite dungeon? What's your least favorite dungeon? And my usual pick for favorite was like several from this game and a couple other games, but I wasn't sure. Going back through this with the fine-tooth comb, you know, really reviewing Twilight Princess, really locked in for me why this dungeon pops so hard. So, can agree. Okay, so, next contest is boss. What is the best boss of 2024? So we've got Golbez from FF14, Zoralja from FF14, Zoromus from FF14. Sets in a trend here. I'm going to say these a little out of order. Is that okay? There's a reason for it, I swear. In the number 3 slot, you voted for the final boss of Metroid Dread, which, yeah. For the number 2 slot, you voted for the Omega fight in FF16. And I was actually pretty tempted by that myself, if you remember, because the Omega fight is really, 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 really good. It is the best fight in FF16, in my opinion, bar none. But hang on, so 1, 2, 4, 5. So in the number 6 slot is Ganondorf from Twilight Princess. And the number 4 slot is Ganondorf from Tears of the Kingdom. And your pick for best boss of 2024 is... Oh, I read that wrong. I'm sorry. What I actually meant is Wind Waker. Sorry. You picked this one. Sorry. I actually screwed that up. I'm sorry. I was me misreading because I wanted to do it silly. Yeah, Suavemente. I imagine there's at least a little bit memeing here, but honestly, I kind of agree. This, for all the issues I had with this game and with this character, this boss fight is not one of them. This was actually a really, really good boss fight. Yeah, that health bar, am I right? Much better than the fight that happens immediately after it. I might be so bold. Yeah, no. I'm with it. I'm with you. No argument. Sorry, I screwed that up. It was actually Twilight Princess Ganondorf, then Wind Waker Ganondorf, then Tears of the King. Or Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf. Sucking here. Yeah, next one's just a victory lap. And that can be good or bad. I wasn't a huge fan of it. It was whatever. Anyways, so the worst boss. So first we have LOD from Wargroove. How many of you even know who I'm talking about? Yeah. The final boss of Minish Cap, which I completely agree with. That fight sucks. The Atomic Leviathan from Maneater. You know, the single-handed reason why that DLC is crap. I mean, the DLC had issues in general, but that boss fight alone is the reason I recommend do not buy the DLC with Maneater. Just buy Maneater. Just enjoy Maneater. Leave the DLC be. In the number 4 slot, the final boss of Spirit Tracks. I hated that fight. I was save state cheating my balls off, and I still hated that fight. Do what is effectively a QTE perfectly in order or start over from scratch. And also, if you die, you go back to the beginning, and it's a long freaking like 4-phase fight just to get to that point. Yeah. Number 3, Leviathan from Final Fantasy 16. Completely agree on that point, too. Leviathan comes close to being a good fight, and then absolutely fumbles it by being a combination of too padded, too boring, and a straight-up gear check. If you screw up anything on the gear check... Oh, by the way, you have to use a technique to increase your damage while also doing the gear check. And also the fact that if you fail, you have to watch an unskippable cutscene and before you can actually reset and start the fight over again. That fight could be worse, but it's pretty bad. In the number 2 slot, the Marauders in Doom 5. Completely agree. I have other issues with with Doom 5, and I do. But honestly, the Marauder encapsulates most of them. I hate the Marauder fights. I get what they're going for, and I do not care. It completely doesn't work in an engine like that, in a game genre like that, with the pacing like that. But that came very, very, very close to winning. But you voted for one boss which is worse. So your pick for the worst boss of 2024... flashing lights warning. Sorry. The final boss from Zelda 2. Now, at first I kind of contested this. I know a lot of people speak really positively of this fight. But, you know, honestly, I'm actually kind of with you, because there's only 2 ways this fight exists. One is what you're seeing right here, where I'm just kind of bodying him. And that's the cheese strat. The other is the non-cheese strat, which is insane. You notice, goddamn, stop flickering, stop flickering. If we do the cheese strat, that's like a 30-second fight. If we don't choose the cheese strat, it's a death. And then another death, and another death, and it's just... It sucks. I actually agree with you. In a game with so many issues and problems with its design, this is absolutely one of them. Alright, hang on. I gotta switch things here to 3. Okay. Best density. 1 second, please. So, best density. We talked about this for the lore runner thing. It's exactly what it sounds like. What is a game that has the most quantity of good in the smallest period of time? A lot of Zelda games here. We have Link Between Worlds. We have Majora's Mask. Very, very dense game. Twilight Princess. A game that's actually pretty long, but I agree is very dense. You also picked Super Metroid. And then Hitman 3, which I actually agree with. And then Paper Mario 2R, which came extremely close to winning, within 1 vote of winning. However, your pick for the highest and best density of 2024 is Doom 4. I'm going to be real. Doom 4 has already won quite a few bests. I'm not sure I agree with several of them. Doom 4 for density is an interesting one for me. Like, because I at first glance, I was like, huh? Because Doom 4 actually has really good pacing. Downer sections and exploration sections and even platforming. But then I realized that's part of the density, and that probably is part of what you guys are thinking. I'm presuming here, of course, I don't know your minds, or do I? But either way, I could kind of feel it. I could kind of feel Doom 4 being a very, very dense game and winning for best density, especially given how much is happening at a given point in time. If anyone wants to clarify their reasoning for picking this, by all means, feel free. But it's actually funny because, honestly, Doom 5 is a much denser game than Doom 4. Like, in terms of just raw density, so... kind of curious on that one, if you don't mind clarifying. Either way, that, of course, leaves us with worst density. Now, the previous game I just mentioned had, let's see, 6 rounds? Yeah, 6 rounds of voting to get to Doom 4. A lot of competition, right? This next game had 1, which means pretty much everyone voted for the same thing. No, not Pokemon Arceus. Why is that an undense game? No, not Tears of the Kingdom. No, not Yume Nikki. No, not Breath of the Wild. No, not Final Fantasy 16. It's exactly what you think it is. You probably don't remember this part of the game. This was when we made an honest-to-God attempt at just exploring. Several people had shown up on stream to defend this game and say you just need to go, turn your brain off and go chill and relax and explore for a while. So we spent the better part of a day, 2 shifts, just exploring. It was terrible. Look at that. That shot right there. Hang on. Look at that shot. Hang on, let me scooch up here so you can really see that. That shot says so much about the density of Starfield right there. I have actually discussed many, many times how to make, a plain or a desert or whatever look good. I have given examples. We're going to be playing BFA pretty soon, tomorrow actually, and we'll be showing another good example of how to do a big empty terrain and make it look good. This is not how you do that. God, I mean, Satisfactory is another good example of something that's like night and day compared to this. And yeah, actually, you know what? Breath of the Wild. There's lots of landmark design and visual design and overall design to Breath of the Wild. Remember, I even gave Breath of the Wild a positive for overall design. This? Yeah, Mad Max, it's an Days Gone. I played that. Yeah, there's plenty of ways to do this. This is not it. Yeah, even Tatooine and Tor, which, if you remember, I used as an example of how not to do that, is still better than this. Hi, Sean. Yes, every planet looked like this with a slightly different color. Moving on. Just enjoy that empty terrain there. Best sound design. Okay, so One Shot. Did One Shot have sound design? Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Obvious pick. Probably should have been a little bit higher. Doom 1. Yeah, okay, I'm with it. There's a lot of good sound design in Doom 1. Ocarina of Time. You're kidding. Blue Fusion Bolt. That's actually hysterical. I'm sorry. It's not funny that the network's down. Something real is going on. Otherwise, they'd be commenting on it. But it is funny that Krispy Kreme is like, here you go, have a donut. Come by, Krispy Kremes. Ocarina of Time, which I'm shocked is at the number 4 slot. Because beating Ocarina of Time for sound design is Doom 3. I disagree with that. I'm just going to say that as simply and neutrally as I can. Doom 3 certainly has some interesting visual design with the way it uses its shadows. Lord knows it was the big selling point for them in the engine. And it certainly manages atmosphere. But the sound design, which is primarily a gameplay function, was not very good in Doom 3. Sound design, when I think of sound design, I think of games like Ocarina, but here's another good example. Grounded, which is the survival shrink Obsidian game, the co-op Obsidian builder crafter game. In that game, I could tell what enemy was nearby and roughly where it was, and in some cases what it was doing just by listening to it. That is sound design right there. That is exactly what sound design looks like. You know what I mean? And yeah, again, being able to have audible interactions to indicate that something happened. Yeah, like if you can fight, if you can find an enemy purely by design, sure, yeah, absolutely. But Doom 3, but I'm not going to disagree too much because you only give that third. There's 6 rounds for this one because the second one you got was Hitman 3. I was debating that one. And to be honest with you, well, I can't exactly say Hitman 3 has bad sound design. I don't remember it ever having good sound design either. It's there, it's functional. I suppose I don't know what else to add to that. But that leaves me with your actual winner for best sound design for 2024. I'll give you this one. It's more or less the same sound design as Ocarina. It's just the level design doesn't complement it to the same extent, which is why I gave it to Ocarina personally. But Majora's still has pretty much the... So let's see. The Nintendo quality of sound design, the Zelda quality of sound design, and the Ocarina quality of sound design. It's got pretty much everything going for it on that. So again, I can't bring myself to disagree with this. Some of you are probably hearing the sound effect I'm making in your head as I'm spinning around, just right now. Be honest, it's probably at least a few of you. How about how there's an audio indicator of when your flowers are about to wear out here, to use another example. There's also an audio indicator when your flowers do run out, while we're on the subject. Yeah, with it. Okay, so, best music. Oh, this one was a challenge. 12 rounds of voting. That's a record so far. 12 rounds of voting to determine the best music. So it's the best music overall, right? So at the bottom we have One Shot, and then Hitman 3, Breath of the Wild. I'm sorry. Breath of the Wild? Please explain. Wind Waker, yep, with it. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, yeah, some really good atmosphere tracks in that. Doom 1, iconic for a reason. Deus Ex Human Revolution, sure. Link to the Past, hard to argue. It's more iconic than I would actually say good. So, shrug. I know that sounds strange, considering I think that the Dark World song in LTTP is phenomenal, but... The Messenger. I felt weird looking at that one. I don't remember any of the music in The Messenger. I don't mean that as an insult. I legitimately can't picture it. I don't know any of the music in it. Your number 4 pick was Majora's Mask, which, yeah, has a lot of really, really good music. The Tower. The End of Days song that plays when it's in the final hours. Everything about the final boss songs, all 3 of them. The Town, all 3 days of the Town. Yeah, no, it's great stuff. And then in the number 3 slot, and again, this was very, very chopped up. A lot of division of opinion here. In the number 3 slot, Final Fantasy 16. I don't argue it at all. I get it. I admit it's not that high for me personally, mostly because too much of the music is more or less the same in my mind. Like, I know that sounds strange. Like, if you picture big, epic, action-y, boss fight kind of music, Dark Souls boss, that's FF16 soundtrack. I am being facetious, but that's what comes to mind, but it's really hard for me to differentiate an individual song from another one. It doesn't help that most of the boss songs actually have multiple versions, too. Still a great soundtrack. Which leads us to the number 2 slot, Ocarina of Time. I'm a little bit interested by that one. In terms of overall music, I don't put Ocarina that high up, personally. Oh, don't mistake me, it's got some bangers. But in terms of, like, the whole soundtrack, I consider it to be one of the weaker Zelda soundtracks. It just happens to have some really, really iconic songs in it. Obviously, there's the Forest Temple, and the Spirit Temple, and the Water Temple. Look, point being, the temples, all the temples. Ganondorf's theme, which basically comes from this. I know it's actually from LTTP. Yeah, Gerudo Valley, obvious pick. Excuse me. But Ocarina, However, Your actual pick for the best soundtrack of 2024 doesn't surprise me at all. If the music would play. There it goes. Well, there's a reason for that, Plutonia. I'll get to it. The only thing that surprises me about this at all is because Doom Eternal wasn't even nominated. Look, I get it. It was bullcrap what happened. And it was, let's be very clear. But that doesn't change the fact that Doom Eternal's soundtrack slaps. Nevertheless, I have a hard time arguing against this. Like, Doom 4 is just, yeah. Doom 4 has some serious bangers. God, I hate the exploders. That's actually how the song ends, by the way. Worst music. I'm going to disagree about this, by the way. I'm just going to tell you this. So first we got Echoes of Wisdom. As we already mentioned, I kind of agree with that. Echoes of Wisdom did not work for me, the soundtrack. The instrument choice was off and piercing. Now, I know I have more ear issues than most people, but it never worked for me. And it got to the point where I kind of wanted to mute the game. There were like 2 or 3 songs I liked in that game. That was it. Phantom Hourglass. This one deserves it 100%. That freaking overworld song, or the dungeon song. You know, the song that plays for, like, the last dungeon in the game. I'm not joking. Boom, bump, bump. Boom, bump, bump. Boom, bump, bump. Same freaking song. Same freaking song. Yeah, exactly. The song that plays for all the dungeons. Come on, you have good music! Phantom Hourglass actually does have good music in it. God damn it. It's not as good as Spirit Tracks, but still. Anyways, sorry. Rant. And then for the number 3 pick for worst soundtrack, Breath of the Wild. Agreed. Look, I'm sorry. There are a couple of really good songs, Breath. In fact, if you remember, I gave my personal best song to Breath of the Wild. I did, and I stand by it. I think of that stupid song that plays for the trials. The shrines, thank you, the shrines. And I think of like the non-music for the overworld, which is more music direction. And I can't even picture anything else. So, moving on. Number 2 slot. This is the one I think should have won. Yume Nikki. Some of you probably don't remember what Yume Nikki's music sounds like. So, really quick, this will not take long, I swear, okay? I want you to listen to some Yume Nikki music, okay? Real quick. You ready? You ready? Now, at some point, you're going to realize that you've already heard the entire song. At some point in time, you're going to realize that it's already looped. At some point in time, you realize that this is the song. Yeah, it's a 3-second loop. But your actual pick for worst music, and let me be very clear, I disagree with this completely, is... I have said many things against Starfield. Today, the music is not one of those. I didn't even give a negative for the music. It's kind of generic-y. If you think of, like, you know, generic atmospheric spacey music, it's like... It reminds me a lot of Stellaris, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm gonna go quiet. Just listen to this. I call this Hitler wearing pink, if you've heard me talk about this. You can hate Hitler all you want. He's a very hateable person, but he's not wearing pink. You don't need to invent reasons to hate Hitler. Starfield sucks. We don't actually need... No, I don't think this is Jeremy Sewell. I'm not sure, though. Don't quote me on that. We don't need to invent reasons to hate Starfield. We have plenty. The music is not one of them, in my opinion. Nevertheless, you voted for Starfield by a huge margin, by the way, over double the votes of Yumeniki. Oh, this is Einon Zur? Guys, you voted for Einon Zur as the freaking worst soundtrack of 2024? Moving on. So, best individual song. There were a lot of options here, and you guys took 17 rounds to pick one. 17. I believe this is the record for this particular LGAs. So let's go in order from bottom to top. Very bottom, we have The Demon's Head. I believe that's the song that plays during the final boss of Doom 2. Don't quote me. Then we have Memories. That's from Breath of Fire 2. Then we have Time to Walk, which is from Shoot His Blood and Teeth. It's the title screen. The Overworld song from Spirit Tracks. You know, bah, 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 bah. I wish I had, like, all these queued up, but I'm stupid and didn't have all that prepped. Look, I spent 2 solid days staying up till 3 in the morning, working all day to get this footage. What do you want from me? Oh, my bad. Demon's Head is apparently from Mission 10 and 16 from Doom 2. Thank you, Izzy. So, the Overworld from Spirit Tracks. Hateno Village, Breath of the Wild. You know what? Hang on. I'll just do my impression of each one. Sure, why not? Oh, I know this song. So this is The Demon's Head. Oh, sorry. It actually says The Demon's Dead. I apologize. Yeah, this is iconic. I recognize this immediately. So then from Breath of Fire 2, we have... Breath of Fire 2 did a lot wrong. It's still a Capcom game. It did not screw up the soundtrack. This is kind of like your soft, peaceful memories kind of a song. Next up we have Time to Walk. This is Shoot His Blood and Teeth. Anyways, it's solid. I'm with it. Good pick. Good pick. So, Spirit Tracks. I unironically love this song. it's just kind of weirdly perfect for what it is. It's probably the most iconic Spirit Track song, Kitten Fan. That's probably why it was voted, or nominated, excuse me. I'm telling you, we need a Western Zelda. We just need to make it happen. I can see that, Ben One Eye. Yeah, it's a very traveling, adventure-y kind of a vibe, right? Very energetic. Gun. Yeah, sorry. So, Hateno Village, Breath of the Wild. Interesting. Agreed, Kitten Fan. Is that instrument? Sounds like a woodwind. No, I don't know. I don't know what that is. They like to use all kinds of instruments that I've never even heard of in Zelda games. No, I'm serious. Like, people have done the research on the kind of sound samples they use, going as far back as Ocarina of Time. They use all kinds of stuff for Zelda's games. They use whatever the hell they want to. So. One moment. The Song of Healing, Majora's Mask. This is a textbook example of minor key. Once again, iconic, and for a good reason. Yeah, I could see this in Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, this is just the default. I think this is the one that plays when you actually play the instrument for the transformation masks. Don't quote me on that, though. And then it loops. So this one is called Kings from Project Wingman. Pretty sure it's the final boss music. I mean, I like 7's better, but that's, you know, that's not saying much. I'm not going to play this whole song. It's 7 minutes long. It's good stuff, though. Yep, cannot argue. Like I said, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I agree, Loke, but I like the music better in 7th. That song is just... Ooh. The next pick, try to be shocked, is... the best boss in FF16. Hey, Zar. I think the best part, if you remember this fight, it was incredibly frenetic. Like, frantic. Even the boss's animations were crazed. Like, just rapid, wild, loose, barely any move. There's no grace, there's no artistry. It's just flailing. Yes, this is Soken. The sucker's just flailing at you. And the music perfectly encapsulates that. So you're just getting right into the beat of it. Oh, tell me about it, Jesse Fans. That is a damn good song. And yeah, he's got this... I'm actually watching some of the fight right now. I'm sorry. Giant meteors everywhere, giant beams of doom. He can move incredibly fast. His reach for his melee attacks has got to be 100 feet. Yeah, no, this song slaps. Absolutely slaps. So, next up, hang on, this is an FF14 song. Which is... oh, this one. Yeah. A dungeon that's mostly just a bump on the road, narratively. But just kinda has this music out of nowhere. This is Dawn Trail. Vanguard is the name of the dungeon. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. Yeah, it's weirdly hard to argue, isn't it? I love the guitar solo. Yeah, Vanguard was just, hi, I'm awesome. Bam! Out of absolutely nowhere. I apologize, I don't really have time to play all these songs for you. Just feel that. Strings do such a good job of bringing energy into a song. Do you hear the harmony, which is the piano in the background? Oh, that's good. That's good. But no, we're getting to the really, really good stuff. We're only halfway up the list, so hang on. Let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. Soken, you're amazing. You've already been on this list twice. Spoilers, it's not the last time he's going to be on this list. Okay. This one, I agree with completely being on this list. Yeah, pretty much, but let us know. Okay, so, how many of you remember this song? What's funny is this whole game didn't have a particular soundtrack, in my opinion. But this song slapped. God, that's so good. And yeah, Pillars of Snow nails it. It's a death march. It's a death march. It is so perfect for a clone trooper during the Clone Wars. Oh, that slaps. Oh, that's good. Oh, Vode on. Several people have typed it in chat. It is Vode on. Yeah, exactly, Luke. Yeah, Commando clone too. Oh, okay. So now this one's another iconic one. But I have argued, I have actually done a dissection of this song on camera. For how simple it is, this song slaps. Link to the Past, The Dark World. God damn, this is such a good song. I love Kondo when he just goes nuts with something. I love it. Yeah, I didn't care for the Link Between Worlds version, Kid fan. Personally. There's 3 main instruments here. I'm lying to you. There's 4. There's the strings, the other strings, the horns, and the whistle. And it's all done over this wonderful militant drum beat. And it's just the right combination of, like, pressure. Like, there's a bit of it. The tempo is there. The tension is there. But it's also very morose. Yeah, it's determined, which perfectly fits what LTTP is. Remember, and I said this earlier, LTTP is during an apocalypse. Things are going bad around you. The world is collapsing while you are going through the game. This is such a perfect song to encapsulate the entire game. Sorry. Like I said, I dissected this sucker. But speaking of Koji Kondo, this is pretty far out. What are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? This is 7th. This is your 7th highest. This is the Forest Temple from Ocarina of Time by Koji Kondo. Dude knows what he was doing. What's really interesting about this song for me personally, and I think I said this during the recent run, when I first heard it, I didn't like it. I mean, I kind of did, but it was creepy, and I didn't like creepy. But essentially, I've never stopped liking it more. Every time I keep hearing it, it keeps getting just kind of a little bit better, even if it's only like by an inch. It's just, yeah, it just kind of keeps being amazing. It's really strange. It is incredibly atmospheric, and it's such a unique song. It barely has typical structure of what a song has, of what makes up a song. It's more like different harmonies, which slowly drift to the top and then fade while another harmony pulls up. And it just drifts between sections. And yeah, exactly, Loke. It's wonderful. It is exactly what the Forest Temple needs. It's part of why the Forest Temple, is a really, really good dungeon. Ross is over there thinking, nah, I hate this song. Speaking of, pretty sure this is also Kondo. I'm not even 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this is him. The final hours. Majora's Mask. This song is very, very close to being a song I can't listen to because it is that dark and depressing. It is so close to being too much for me. It is so... It's dripping. It is dripping with grief and dread. I think is the other word I would use here. Yeah, it's called The Final Hours for a reason. It's too late. The moon is coming down. It is over. Yeah, exactly. Delicious snow. This is horrifying. And it is exactly what it needs to be. Oh. Yeah, it's a completely different type of haunting from Forest Temple. Ross is here, holy crap. And still disagrees with me about Forest Temple. So, let's shift the tone up a little bit and go back to Soken. I think you'll like this one. We did Forest Temple already, and you didn't say anything, Ross. Yeah, most of you who know this game know this song immediately. It's one of the more iconic ones in the game. Oh, this is in the demo. If I could spoil something about FF16, mute me if you don't want spoilers for FF16. It's a small spoiler, but it is still a spoiler. I'll give you 3. One of the best moments of the game for me, legitimately. So, several times you play as... I love the strings of this section so much. Several parts of the game, you play as an Eidolon or Icon or Esper, whatever the hell they call them in this one. And it's basically just a QTE. And it's fine, but it's disinteresting from a gameplay perspective. So it's just, yeah, okay, push the buttons and aim the thing, and that's it. Nothing really fancy. No gameplay positives, put simply. And then at a certain fight, all of a sudden, it's like, hey, here's your moves. And I'm like, what? And all of a sudden, I could actually do an honest-to-God fight as, you know, as one of the icons. And there was just this moment of joy as I realized I could actually play the game during one of the icon fights. I was quite happy about that. This is a pretty long song. Fine, I'll let it play. Even with the lyrics, I can't understand a damn thing they're saying. It's in English, that's the best part. So anyways, what are we done to? 1, 2, 3, 4. In the number 4 slot... Hi, Soken. This doesn't quite hit the peaks for me, but this is easily, like, in the running for best of the year. Solid stuff. You got it, Elazar. Thank you, as always. But, you know what? I'm tired of listening to Soken music. Aren't you? I mean, just, that's enough. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But we are going to leave Soken for the time being. And we're going to go back to Koji Kondo. Do I need to explain myself here? This is your pick for number 3. What I find interesting about this is this, first of all, God, Kondo. Second of all, I think what I love most about this, it's kind of more, it's not like a truly a mezzo song like some songs tend to be. It's like Battle of the Big Bridge back in FF5, right? There are better songs, even better songs in FF5, but this one's just fun. Just straight up fun. And I've noticed that fun songs tend to drift towards the top of several people's lists, probably because they're so memorable. And yeah, this is a good example of that. It is extraordinarily, memorable, iconic, and just cool. Now, here's the deal. When it comes to best song, at least for me, I don't know about you all, I tend to think of its significance on both the gameplay and the story axis. How good of a song is it? How much does it add to the scene or the moment or whatever, right? So it doesn't surprise me at all that your guys' number 2 pick honestly one of the better overall sequences in the entire game. This is number 2. This is your guys' number 2 pick. Yeah, no Wind Waker stuff nominated for some reason. A lot of nominations in general. Good morning, Darkrai. Yeah, this whole sequence is the fulcrum. I know that doesn't have a good ring to it, but it's true. This is the fulcrum moment for Twilight Princess. We have spent a whole lot of time building up to concluding the 3rd major dungeon. Finish it. Huge bit of exposition, great cutscene, another fantastic cutscene, probably our best established. It's actually our 2nd Zant scene, but it's a really, really good Zant cut. It's probably our best overall Zant cutscene. And yeah, everything goes completely wrong. We are cursed. We lose more than half of the kit we had. Minda is literally dying. Get to Zelda. And then we do, and if you remember, that scene with Zelda was one of my picks for best cutscene. Yeah. This is a great sequence. That's why I mentioned the narrative axis, because otherwise, well, it's not that great of a song, especially when you compare it to your pick for best song of 2024. Yeah, bit of a tonal shift. For those of you who don't know, this song is called Rip and Tear. This is why I didn't play this song for the best music footage earlier. Because you picked this for the best song. This is very, I'm about to murder a bunch of demons, isn't it? I'm gonna let this one play. And it just ends really, really abruptly. Yeah, no, that's a slapper. That might be a slugger at that point, Jesus Christ. So, sorry for the derailment, but there's your best songs of 2024. Okay, let's move forward a little bit. Oh, God, tell me about it, Jesse's Mask. So, best overall gameplay of 2024. Okay. So, your number 6 pick for the best gameplay of 2024 was Zelda Oracle of Ages. Your number 5 pick after that was Pokemon Legends Arceus, which, yeah, I could see that. Your number 4 pick was, this is best gameplay, Blade of All. Your number 4 pick for best gameplay was Final Fantasy 16. I sort of see that. FF16 does have some really solid boss fights. I don't think I agree, though. I have seen better gameplay in other FFs before. Like, because, you know, but those boss fights are really good. I don't know, that's a weird one. But your number 3 pick is, of course, Tears of the Kingdom. That one doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, why would it? It's Tears of the Kingdom. That game did a weirdly large amount right on the gameplay axis. But even it is dwarfed by your number 2 pick, which is Super Metroid. Yeah, I don't have much to add to that one. Super Metroid is amazeballs. But even Super Metroid doesn't even come close to your pick for best gameplay of 2024, which is... I want you to know how frustrating it was constantly trying to find new footage for Doom 4 because it just kept winning things. Like, god dang it, people. Could you not? You're making my job harder. Quest 4. Quest 5. Dragon Quest 6. Thank you, Scott Kimar, as always. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to this. Good level design. Good enemy design. Decent boss design. Good gun design. Good alternate progression. Good rewarding of exploration. Good bonus objectives. Good music. Good viscerality. Yeah, that's why I hesitate on bosses. Bosses are fine. But yeah, no, this is, good visual storytelling. Good characters. There's only really 3, but they're all, well, there's 4. We count Vega. But they're all good. Anyway, so yeah. Good stuff. I don't really disagree. So, that leads us to worst gameplay. Now, hang on. I want you all to get your lore shocks ready. Okay, so we've got Breath of Fire 1, which, by the way, scored better than Breath of Fire 2. Explain? Which scored better than Star Trek Resurgence. I can't argue that. Star Trek Resurgence is one of the worst Telltale games I've ever played from a gameplay axis, if not the worst. But your number 4 worst is Metroid 1. And number 3 is Age of Sigmar. Number 2 is Yume Nikki. And I agree with basically all of these. However, the worst gameplay of 2024 is... I mean, what can I even add to this? Even the level layout is bad. You want to know how bad the gameplay is? I had to actually start explaining whole new aspects of gameplay design to explain how bad the gameplay is of this game. I'm dead serious. Yeah, I came out of rumination retirement. This is not a joke. I came out of retirement to do a rumination on this game. It was that bad. Oh, doodads were amazing. Look at this doodads. You can see it even on the screen right now. But the thing is, so I mentioned level layout and level design, which is a big thing I cover many, many times when it comes to game design. But here, there's another layer to that. This game has... I don't even know how to put it into words. Navigation is bad in this game. There were several times, you probably remember, where I was legitimately lost in a particular dungeon because there is no guidance in level design. There is no guidance in terms of telling you where to go or what to do. And the only thing you have to go off of is the almighty quest marker. And the quest marker in Starfield sucked. It liked to recalculate where it tells you to go, basically per second. How many of you remember that occasionally something would happen? So here's a door. Here's outside, here's inside, okay? I would go through the door, look around for the quest marker, and realize it's right behind me. So I would go back in the door, look around for the quest marker, and realize it's right behind me. Both times it was telling me to go through the door. Oh yeah, and of course we've got the stamina problem. Remember I mentioned what a capital P problem is when it comes to a Loreium? This game has the stamina problem, which is like 16 different things which all coincided to make so many aspects of the game crap. Yeah, I'll agree with that, Von Falkenstein. No, you didn't say that, Spartan. Anyway, Starfield sucks. Moving on. All right, so now, best graphics and visual design. Now, y'all have to explain this to me. So at the bottom for best graphics is Echoes of Wisdom. Cool. Up with it. Minish Cap. Yep. Great sprite work. Hitman 3. Absolutely. Looks brilliant. FF14 Dawn Trail. Cannot argue. Looks amazing. Pentiment. 100% agree. Very stylized. Very fantastic. Twilight Princess. Don't agree at all. Moving on. And your actual pick for best visual design of 2024. Please explain. Of all the things Doom 4 does right, which is quite a few, visuals? Really? Above the Zeldas and the Metroids. And yeah, frankly, Pentiment, which really should have just ran away with that. I don't actually get it. There's only 2 tile sets in this game. And one of them looks bad, which is the one you're staring at. Boring, generic, tan, brown. Wind Waker wasn't even nominated. Maybe Plutonia? Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound so insulting. But I fundamentally disagree with this. I chose this footage specifically to showcase how bad I thought the visual design was for a large portion of the game. Because we spent a decent chunk in the Hellscape area. And it looks like this. brown. Oh, excuse me. Mars surface qualifies as a third tile set. So that's 3 tile sets. Okay. Yeah, frankly, Doom Eternal, which is a worse game in many ways, has a much more varied and interesting visual styling to it. I mean, you know, the second to last stage of the vanilla game. Maybe the gun? Well, I mean, if the guns count, then Starfield should have won, because Starfield had incredibly high-resolution guns. Anyways, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound so negative, it's just I don't get that one at all. Which, of course, leads us to the worst visual graphics design. In the number 5 slot, Final Fantasy XVI. In the number 4 slot, Zelda 1. Yeah, okay. In the number 3 slot, Doom 3. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one, honestly. Now, this one I'm confused by. In the number 2 slot, and it's a shame, I think Judo Joker's gone for now. Mercenaries. Mercenaries 1, Playground of Destruction. Now, that game didn't have what I would call good graphics. It was very PS1 graphic, early PS2, late PS1 graphics. But, and? Like, I never thought anything was particularly bad about them. So that's your number 2 slot. But that's okay, because your actual pick for worst graphics of 2024 was something that everyone thought was an RPG Maker game. It isn't. It's some other program. I don't even remember what it is. This one doesn't surprise me. What you're looking at is probably the best... Here, let me show you just a sec. What you're looking at here is probably the best individual screenshot in the entire game. And that's not great. This one's just... fine, I guess? Yume Nikki. Hey, I like that soundtrack. Yeah, do I actually go into the dream of this visuals? No, I don't. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. Moving on. Apparently it's an RPG Maker game. Whatever you say. I don't even care at this point. I don't even care. Moving on. Whoops. There we go. Okay. So now we should be up to Atmosphere. Best Atmosphere. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, we've got Lunar. Okay, question. What is the atmosphere of Lunar? I'm not being facetious. I actually am legitimately curious what the atmosphere of Lunar is. No, Lunar. Lunar SSSC, which is a JRPG. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Yeah, I could kind of get behind that a little bit, but I think people confused Dark with Atmosphere. Hitman 3. Hitman 3 actually has a lot of different atmospheres, depending entirely on which map you're on at a given point in time. So I get you there. Because it not only has good atmosphere, it has a lot of good atmospheres. So, okay. Super Metroid. I don't need to explain this. That was my own personal pick. Deus Ex Human Revolution. I didn't like that game as much as I was expecting to, but I will agree the atmosphere was one of the better parts. So, yes. And the number 2 slot, Zelda Twilight Princess, which makes sense. You know, the melancholy of Twilight Princess is an overwhelming vibe the entire game. But that melancholy is absolutely dwarfed by the number 1 pick for Best Atmosphere of 2024. Cannot argue. Cannot argue. If there is one... Like, I know there's several people who are not really into Majora's, and I completely understand that. But if there is one thing this game fundamentally nails. It is its atmosphere. The tone, the vibe, the living, breathing world, the people with their stories and interactions and little scripted events that allow them to feel real. All of the little pieces of atmosphere. Remember, because atmosphere isn't just like doom and gloom. There's lots of things that contribute to atmosphere. Remember, I myself gave it to Star Trek Resurgence for having a phenomenal atmosphere of being a Trek game. This game has all of that. Cannot argue. Cannot argue. So, best cast. You guys barely had enough in order to qualify for this one. In fact, I think I let this one slide just for the hell of it. Your number 4 pick, Majora's Mask. Number 3 pick, Pentiment. Your number 2 pick, Final Fantasy 16. I agree with all 3 of those. All 3 phenomenal casts. This is actually a pretty close vote, too. But, eking it out as your best cast for 2024... Paper Mario 2R. And I know I've said this a billion times already, but I'm going to keep praising this game because it keeps being amazing. Has a really, really good cast. It has lots of good characters. Sorry, let me say that again. It has lots of characters and lots of good characters. It has lots of variety of characters. It has lots of well-written characters. Cast. This is cast. Let's go. There's a lot. There's tremendous characters all over the place, and there's lots of them, and they're awesome. Yes, 100% agree. But what do we consider the best side character? So you guys picked several things here. So one was Quentin from Final Fantasy 16. One was Prez from Project Wingman. I'm sorry, real quick. Who? I actually don't remember who that is. I legitimately don't remember who Prez is from Project Wingman. I remember Crimson 1. Anyways, oh, okay, yes. I know what you're talking about. Okay, you know what? I'm with that. Bakul Jaja from Dawn Trail. Yeah. Lubor from Final Fantasy 16. That was the smith who was, or was he a leatherworker? He was an artisan who was also the local mob boss. In number 3, now I was curious about this one because this one is really technically, and I almost didn't allow this, but your number 3 pick was Hythlodaeus, because we did actually play Patchwalker this last year. Your number 2 pick, you gotta explain this one to me, was Seraph from Deus Ex Human Revolution. Now, I like Seraph for what it's worth. I do. But the best? Of course, he isn't the best. He's the second best. The first best only is here, I think, because I decided to allow it in this one case. Your pick for the best side character of 2024. Yes, I know this is the 3rd time I've played this song in this stream. It is Anju and Cafe. Yeah, I can see it. They are pretty much the definition of side characters. And their arc is interesting. It connects with a huge portion of the game. It is very thematically significant. Again, I decided to allow for the asterisk of both of them being the same character for the purposes of this thing, since their arc is so connected to both of them. Hey, I need to stop listening to this song. It's getting to me. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to worst side character. We have the mailman from Zelda Twilight Princess, who just would not stop interrupting me. Onward to mail! Then we have Bakul Jaja. You may or may not remember him as someone who was just nominated for the best side character from FF14 Dawn Trail. Araxi Bedrosian, who is a character from Star Trek Resurgence. A character so memorable that I don't remember who he is, because none of you did either. By the way, each of these got 2 votes. 2. Because the overwhelming majority of your votes for worst side character for 2024 is literally every character from Starfield. I decided to allow this too, even though it's kind of violating the rules of it, because it is cheating. But here's the thing. Other than the good four, name a single side character in Starfield. One. Just name one. Sarah qualifies as a major character. The fan who follows us is one of the four. The robot. Who? I actually don't know what you're talking about. But this is my overall point. Like, this is my overall point. They are so vanilla, so generic, and so blending. Oh, you know what? The Lady in the Terramorph campaign. I'll actually give you that one. We're up to 1! But yeah, the characters are so generic. The side characters are all just this giant morphing blob of gray wallpaper paste. That I decided to allow it because honestly, they're all crap. There's hundreds of them. Hundreds of them. And they're all crap. Yes, the parents are part of the four. It's actually Mom, Dad, Fan, and then Wes Johnson's character. That's the four. Yeah, bad voice direction, bad writing, bad animations, eyebrows. We don't talk about pronouns. No, it's all about eyebrows. Effing eyebrows. Ugh. God. Moving on. Best major character. I need to get more specific about what qualifies as a major character. I know there's some blending between major and main, and that's the problem. So we've got Ray from Breath of Fire 3. We've got Gav from Final Fantasy 16. We've got Cat from Breath of Fire 2. I'm sorry, real quick. Cat beat Gav. We've got Zelda from Zelda Spirit Tracks. We've got Dion from Final Fantasy 16. We've got Zero from FF14 Patchwalker. We've got Delta Squad from Republic Commando. Groose from Skyward Sword. A character I can't believe I liked, but there he is. Byron from Final Fantasy 16. 100% agree. Diana from Hitman 3. Yep. Vivian from Paper Mario 2. Yep. Sid from Final Fantasy 16. FF16 is on this list like 4 times here. But your actual pick for best major character, and I probably shouldn't have allowed this, so I'll take ownership of this, but your pick for best major character of 2024 is... No, not Zelda. Not the wolf. It's Midna. Of course it's Midna. I think we did the math. Don't quote me on this, because I'm kind of tired right now and I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure Midna scored the most character positives of the entire franchise. And that's counting the fact that Ganondorf is in 3 games. Yeah, it's hard to argue that. The problem is, yeah, no, Midna's a main character. And that's the problem. I swear I'll go ahead and start actually being more particular about allowing certain things and certain things in the future. That's my fault. Because again, Midna's a main character. She's not a major character. Dion's a major character. Right? Midna is our primary... is the primary character of the game. The only thing that differentiates her from you as Link is the fact that you primarily play Link. Nevertheless, I can't argue. She's an amazing character with a good character arc. And yeah, the whole game's named after her, and she's awesome and amazing and incredible, and goddammit, she's never coming back. We just need to accept this. We just need to accept this. She isn't. If they were going to do it, they would have done it already. Next game. Play as Midna in a game starring as Midna. What? She was in Hyrule Warriors 1 as a cameo character. As was everyone else in the universe. So, worst major character. We've got Hugo Kupka from Final Fantasy 16. Okay. Jill from Final Fantasy 16. Yeah. Annabella from Final Fantasy 16. I don't agree with that. I think she's a good character. I want her to die. However, try to be shocked. Get your lore sharks ready. Because your pick for the worst major character in 2024 is every major character from Starfield. Characters who are so similar to each other that honestly, other than like, I know this is going to sound like a strange sentence, but other than appearance and voice actors, good luck differentiating them. They don't act differently. Their dialogue isn't noticeably different. Their supposed character arcs and characterization is barely there. They're all just there. Like Barrett, Sarah, the guy that Armin Shimmerman voiced, which is all I know about him, is that Armin Shimmerman voiced him. They're all the same. It's the same problem with the side characters thing. They're just all the same characters. There's nothing to them. Congratulations, Starfield. You're terrible. Writing. Have you ever heard of it? Anyways, main character. Main villain. Best main villain. We got some good options here. We've got Ridley from Super Metroid. We've got the Shadow Queen from Paper Mario 2. We've got Bowser from Paper Mario 1. We've got Barnabas from Final Fantasy 16. We've got Us from Maneater, which I agree with completely, by the way. Zant from Twilight Princess. Majora from Majora's Mask. Spoiler from Pentiment. And then in the number 2 slot, now I'm a little surprised by this, because usually the memes win. But the Goose from Untitled Goose Game only got second. It was pretty close. It was very close. But one character managed to oust it. Now, there were actually several Darkrai. This is admittedly a little bit of a cheat, and we even talked about this in the discussion channel. Because the problem is, well, you could point out that most of the Ganondorfs are the same character. Really, Ganondorf in Ocarina, Wind Waker, and Twilight is the same character. Both Wind Waker and Twilight Princess follow through on his character from Ocarina. So it makes perfect sense that this character, who is iconic for a reason, and who is pretty much the reason Ganondorf is so memorable, yeah, it makes sense. I'm with it. Main villain, the Ganondorf from the Ganondorf trilogy. Can't argue. But who do we have for our worst villain? So we've got Onyx from... yeah, no kidding, ISE. We've got Onyx from Oracle of Seasons. Most of you don't even know who that is. Scaly Pete from Maneater. Yeah, he was really disinteresting. I don't know what was going on with that. The Constant from Hitman 3. I'd love to know people's thoughts about why they didn't like him. Ganondorf from Tears of the Kingdom. I agree with that. Complete waste of the character. The main villain from Final Fantasy 16, which I also agree with completely. That was my pick. And, try to be shocked, yeah. Of course it's Starfield. What else would it be? What other possible pick would you pick? I actually personally think we did have worse than this, as I mentioned. But the truth of the matter is, this is pretty bad, and, well, we need to keep punching down on Starfield. And it's worth noting that this isn't just a meme answered. It's worth noting that the Starborn are really, really bad characters. Yeah, the reveal was awful. and they do nothing with it at all. And even the final boss fight is nothing. They're literally just another guy with a gun, just like every enemy encounter in the entire game is. There's nothing to them. Yeah, the gelatinous gray mass continues to be true. Yeah, just another log on the fire. Oh yeah, and I killed them all with a mining laser. Because I could. Best main character. Let's get to some positivity in here. We've got Nico from One Shot. Not too bad of a pick, actually. I'm with that. Sam Fisher, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Again, thumbs up. The writing has some problems, but, you know, Ironside completely carries that. Agent 47 from Hitman 3. Yes, absolutely. Especially in Hitman 3 specific. Andreas Mahler from Pentiment. Again, absolutely. I know Pentiment keeps coming up for characters. There's a reason for that. It's a great game for characters. Absolutely. I just want you all to know, I'm actually really proud of you that the Goose from Untitled Goose Game only got 3rd for Best Main Character. I'm proud of y'all. You didn't pick the meme. In number 2 slot, Samus Aran. Primarily a Metroid Dread, but the Metroid series in general. However, try to be shocked. The winner for Best Main Character, who is the best game character of 4 games we played this year. You know what I love most about this sequence? Right here? It's the first thing we see of the game. It is a perfect opener. So much detail. I actually had difficulty conveying how much density was in this in an early moment because it does so much in such a short period of time. In seconds, we get a lot of characterization for who and what the Doom guy, the Slayer, actually. Yeah, I had to pause so long just to really unpack what was going on here. This is Doom 4, specifically, Jay Palmer. I mentioned this when I talking about my personal picks for best character, best main character. This is how you do a silent protagonist, and this is why I distinguish. Sorry, flashing lights warning. This is why I distinguish. Forgot that was there. Between a Rorschach character and a silent protagonist. The Slayer is a character. He has a personality. And I didn't know you could die. That's so cool. Even just down to the way he moves and interacts with the terrain around him. Oh my god. He's great. He's great. 100%. But that means we have to cover the worst main character. Okay, sure. What am I describing? I'm sorry, Jake Palmer. High off the deeper end. I hope you were enjoying. So, worst main character. The character of Doomguy. Sure. The way I like to describe the character of the Slayer is no-sell. I don't know what adjective to use there, because no-sell is obviously not an adjective. It's actually a verb. In other words, you say his personality is anger, but I actually disagree with that. He's very restrained. He is extraordinarily blunt and just isn't putting up with any of this crap. That's what I mean by when I say no-sell. People offer him things? No. People try to reach out to him and deal with this? No. People try to, say, hey, we're going to kill this? No. People try to get in his way? No. Right? That's the no-sell. Yeah, he's not a berserker. He is actually extraordinarily precise in his movements. Grab, shove, smash, rip, right? Like there's an almost mechanical nature to how he moves. And it conveys how much he is under control constantly. He is also a geek. We see that in his room in Doom 5. And he also has absolutely no problem with anyone who doesn't make problems for him. He's actually quite reasonable to anybody who's not a dick to him. But yeah, there's this one bit where it's like, here's this very delicate. It's when you get your first Argent energy sphere. And it's like, okay, you're gonna have to do this and interact with this. And Hayden starts describing. Actually, I think it's not that scene, but Hayden starts describing how to interact with it. And Slayer's like, yeah, no problem. Bam, 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 smash. Hmm. He was very restrained and polite to that person. I'm sorry, Logue. Grab. Drag. It just quietly drags it over. How about the support guy who showed up primarily in Doom 5? I can't remember his name, but you know what I'm talking about, right? The geek. He was cool with him pretty consistently. Anyways, that's the Slayer. So, worst main character. Now, this is an interesting one. So, in number 5 slot, we have Dog from Ruiner Puppy. That's you, obviously. Yeah, you're kind of a blank slate nothing burger, so sure. And the number 4 slot is the Goose from Untitled Goose Game for worst main character. In the number 3 slot, Marutsuki from Yumeniki. I don't even know who that is. Moving on. Number 2 slot, Wuklamat from Dawn Trail. Allow me to go ahead and say that I absolutely understand why several people don't like Wuklamat, especially since early on she's really irritating. I myself gave her a negative. But I honestly think people are way over-hating on her. Like, it's gotten to the point where I'm actually kind of tired of hearing about it, because some people are decrying the entire game and the downfall of Square as a whole, and how the whole, it's all dying and everything's going to hell just because of one character. No, even the jailer didn't kill WoW. But your actual pick for worst character, worst main character of 2024. We all know Samus is most well known for her iconic thumbs down. But my favorite part is how they had to explain the thumbs down slowly and excruciatingly with bad voice acting. I don't have anything to add to this. I've already spent so much time bashing Other M today. Let's just move on. So next, best main character. Not a lot of options. I almost disagreed with this one, or not disagreed. Sorry. Disallowed, discontinued, whatever. I almost moved on from this one. But we have who? Hang on, I'm actually having a text glitch. Oh, okay. Dion from Final Fantasy 16. Oh, I'm sorry. No, this isn't best main character. I'm an idiot. This is best character. So best overall character. You guys only picked 4 characters for best character. And like I said, I almost disallowed this category. So Dion in the number 4 slot. Clive Rossfield for the number 3 slot. Sid for the number 2 slot. So that's FF16, FF16, and FF16 respectively. But your pick for best character of 2024... No, it's not Link. It's Midna. I don't really disagree, strictly speaking, with that. But we had a lot of extremely good characters this year. I think the competition should have been a little bit swifter, but instead, Midna completely swept this. This is one of those one-round votes. Nobody voted for anything else. It was just Midna, the end. So this feels almost token. But the good news is we have a little bit more competition for worst character. So number 5, Ganondorf from Tears of the Kingdom. Number 4, Zelda from Tears of the Kingdom. Number 3, Annabella Rossfield from FF16. I think this gets into definitions because I fundamentally disagree with that. But I suppose that's the point, is you're supposed to define this however you want to. Because if this means a character you dislike as opposed to a character who is bad or whatever. But anyways, that's worst character, third worst character. Number 2, Fi from Skyward Sword. Fi came extremely close to winning. I just want you to know that. And that's interesting to me, especially given how absolutely frustrating she was. Take everything that people dislike about Navi and make it worse in every way, and there's Fi. But you didn't pick Fi. You picked... Well, this is not him. As usual, I'm not showing it off, but you picked the main villain from Final Fantasy XVI. And, you know, I've been thinking about this. Because the main villain of FF16 isn't quite a traditional Mary Sue, but actually does fulfill the single worst quality of what a Mary Sue character is. And that would be, they twist the narrative around them to make that narrative worse. So other characters, plot points, world building, continuity, you know, other elements of story are made worse because that character warps things around them to suit them. The story is warped for the sake of the character. That is the principal, primary focus of what is truly a Mary Sue. Exactly, Kira White Noise. And yeah, exactly, Closest No. And the main villain of FF16 absolutely qualifies as that. Several elements of this narrative are made demonstrably worse by the main villain's mere inclusion in the story. Never mind what they utilize it for. Moving on. Good song, though. Best pet. Okay, I'm not even going to list all these. It's Torgal. It's Torgal! Do you know how hard it was to find a shot of Torgal? You can't even see the shot of Torgal right now, because this is just a shot of Clive and Sid wandering through the woods. I had so much of a hard time. I couldn't find... Where is he? There he is. He's there for a few seconds. Look, there he is. Okay, he's gone. He's gone. I spent like 20 minutes trying to find a freaking shot of Torgal. And he's just... Not counting the spoiler shot. I could have found that immediately. Ugh. By the way, in the interest of fairness, I should mention that 5 people voted for Mousefangr. Just wanted to say really quick. It was actually Caesar, Ricky, which is the kangaroo from Oracles, Mousefangr from Pentiment, the Lionel from Echoes of Wisdom, Whatjek the Bear from Iron Harvest, and then Torgal. And Torgal just completely swept everything. Oh, there he is, look, for 5 seconds, he's there. He's there. Anyways. So, most punchable character. So we were talking about most hated earlier. This is probably the closest thing to most hated. Most punchable, right? So we have Bade from Breath of Fire 3. That's the jackass during the Find the Ship Parts quest arc. Zachary Solano in Star Trek Resurgence. I don't remember who that is. I'm going to be honest. Bakul Jaja from Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. Yeah, I can agree with that. Crimson One from Project Wingman, who... Oh, is that Desk Face? Is that Desk Face? Oh my god. Oh yeah, okay. Yep, I'm with it. I agree. Crimson One from Project... Well, yeah, you just want to slug him. Francis Pritchard from Deus Ex Human Revolution. Yeah. Scaly Pete from Maneater. Father Thomas, that's the local father, bishop, religious guy from Pentiment. The main villain of Final Fantasy XVI, which I know with total certainty because the person who nominated it told me, is only on this list for the meme. But the meme didn't win. In fact, this is one of those things where the person in first won by such a huge margin. It was over double the votes of everyone else combined. As in, if you take every other vote, it's still not half as much as the votes that were given to Annabella Rossfield. This twit is, in many ways, the main villain of FF16. The personal villain, if you will. Rather than the global villain, right? Annabella Rossfield is the reason why a huge majority of the plot happens. She is actively more evil than most of the villains who are larger scale than her. And she is personally responsible for, I'd say, well over half the events of the game. Even on a small level, we actually see the impact she has on a local level. Never mind what she does to the main cast, the main character. Yeah, Mother Dearest is truly terrible and very punchable. Most hated, like I said. Ugh. Twit. Now, if you'll excuse me 1 second. Now, if you remember, I went for best voice acting in an entire game. You guys went for best voice actor. No judgment, I'm just explaining the contrast. So in the number 6 slot, we have Chris Parnell, who I believe is a comedian, who voices the narrator in Maneater. In the number 5 slot, we have Jane Perry. She's the voice actress for Diana in the Hitman series in Hitman 3. In the number 4 slot, you have Kevin Shawn. He's the voice actor for Vega in both Doom 4 and Doom 5. In the number 3 slot, you put Ralph Ineson, who voices who voices Sid in Final Fantasy 16. In the number 2 slot, it was Michael Ironside for Sam Fisher, obviously. And try to be shocked when your pick for the best voice actor of 2024 is Clive. It's Ben Starr. I don't even know what to add to this, honestly. Like, dude threw himself into this role. Physically hurt himself in the process of doing it. It came out of kind of nowhere. Most people never even heard of the name Ben Starr until he just kind of decided to luck his way into this role, and, well, here we are. Yeah, no, this has made his career. Currently. He is set for whatever the hell he wants to do, pretty much from now onwards. You ever yell into a mic for several hours, Trahexia? How my throat hurts right now from doing the LGAs today. Yeah, Ben Starr deserves this 100%. Naturally, even though you picked Best Voice Actor, for Worst, you picked an entire game. Just raising an eyebrow at y'all. So for Worst Voice Acting, we have FF14 Dawn Trail, which I fundamentally disagree on. Lunar. Really? Metroid Other M. And of course, try to be shocked when... As I talked about, this and Other M both had really, really, really terrible voice acting for effectively completely different reasons. Like, it's kind of a weird thing when you get down to it. Other M was atrociously bad. Bad enunciation, bad emphasis, bad pronunciation, bad pauses, bad cadence, bad emoting, bad everything. Starfield was just, like, several of us were legitimately questioning if some of this was AI voice acted, because nobody had any acting. There was an absence of acting in Starfield. It was very strange. Yeah, it was just people reading a phone book. It was the most bizarre thing ever. It was my sister coming down here to kill me. Sis, I'm ready to die. That smells warm. Like, I can smell that. No, that is pungent in a good way. Did we decide that was the positive one or not? Had a whole discussion about that.
Pungent is not positive.
Help. What's a good word for positive?
Fragrant.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. So, we're going to do the rest of the awards like this now. Nope, too far back. There we go. Perfect. Sorry, Lord Harrimont. It smells really good.
I made sure I pulled a part of it off for you because it just came out of the oven. So
I
had to
appreciate
shove it in your mouth. Tonight is a figure it out yourself dinner.
Oh, that works out. I'm obviously still in the middle of the LGAs, so I'm gonna do this until I'm done. I don't know when I'm gonna be out. Oh, sis, I got you something. I've been waiting for you to come down to acknowledge that it's here. So it was gonna be like a bonus thing for you coming and visiting me. So I got you a spare thing of Funyuns. Yesterday or whenever it was. Thursday, I think it was actually. Voice acting in this game sucks. Now, here's the weird thing. I just said it's wrong for a fundamentally different reason, but it's actually the exact same reason. No, I'm dead serious. In Other M, we had proven good actors doing terrible voice acting. In Starfield, we have proven good voice actors doing terrible voice acting. What's the similarity? The directors. Now, in Other M's case, we know, because we have lots of information about it, that it was bad direction, like actively incorrect direction. They were being told...
What are you watching while you're talking?
This is Starfield. You remember I spent those 2 days...
Your build?
Yeah, the game that was responsible for this. If you remember, I spent those 2 days just recording footage.
Mm-hmm.
This is the footage I was recording. Ooh, tomato soup, that sounds good. But Other M, they were told you need to sound less emotive. You need to... and yeah, it was from someone who literally didn't speak English, is the director of Other M's voice acting. In Starfield, near as we can tell, and the game just came out like a year and a half ago, so we don't have 100% information yet, but near as we can tell, the game had no voice direction. A legitimate absence. And I've encountered this before in gaming and shows and movies. Thank you again, sis. Where the actors are just given the pages, right, and told to speak into the mic. And that's it. And that's what they do. And that... I'm putting it down right now. I'm predicting it right now. As we learn in the next few years more and more about everything that went wrong with Starfield, I predict that is what it was. That they were given no voice direction at all. Just told to go read it. Yeah, that happened to Sonic Adventure 1. That's exactly what happened there. Here's the lines. Figure it out. That would also explain why we had 4 good voice actors. Remember that? 4 good characters. Their lines were still not great, but they were doing a much better job than everyone else. Yeah. Anyways. So, worst voice acting. Let's see, what's next? Music direction. So I'm just going to admit that I disagree with y'all on this one. So, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got Deus Ex Human Revolution. Yes, I'm with that. Very much, very 80s, very kind of pseudo-techno, sets the cyberpunky kind of a tone. Number 5, we have Hitman 3. Yeah. Some good atmospheric tracks in Hitman 3. And number 4, we have Twilight Princess. Absolutely. Twilight Princess's soundtrack isn't all that great on what I would call a gameplay axis, but pops on a story one. Number 3, Final Fantasy 16. Okay, sure. I could kind of see that, but not really. Like, again, FF16, most of the songs that really pop in FF16 are the boss songs, and that does add to the vibe of the bosses. But, like, eh. Number 2, Ocarina of Time, 100%. Ocarina, as I've already showcased, does some really good stuff with its music direction. And while some of the songs are arguably not very enjoyable to sit and listen to in a vacuum, they are fantastic while you're going through a dungeon. Music direction. But your best pick, and this is a weird one, but your best pick for best music direction in 2024 is Doom 4. Now, first of all, this should have been Majora's Mask, I'm just saying. That game lived and breathed music direction. But music direction for Doom 4? Doom 4 has a couple of atmospheric tracks, but for the most part, its music is very, very, you know, big, pumping, actiony, awesome combat. Now, that is kind of part of the vibe. I do kind of agree with that. But music direction is not something that even occurs to me when I think of something like Doom 4. So, there's been a lot of these where I just look at this like, why? Now, I'll tell you why. I bet people were thinking music, not music direction. Yeah, it could be the Yoshi drums. I don't know. I do not know. What I do know is we have to cover worst music direction. Now, this is a barely. So number 4 slot, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Yeah, okay. Number 3, Wargroove. Yeah, I'm with that completely. Number 2, FF14 Dawn Trail. For worst music direction, I should mention that Dawn Trail got a lot of votes. Like, over half of the votes went to Dawn Trail for worst music direction. But the worst music direction for you all for 2024, and I find this interesting because ironically, I'm not sure I even agree with this, is here's the thing. Let me mute that for you. It's bad music, but I actively cannot agree that it's bad music direction. It's worth noting that most of these songs only play for very brief periods of time, and the songs are absolutely a part of the vibe, the atmosphere, the dreamscape, right? And while I keep going back to that one terrible song, it's worth noting that there are several other songs in this game, and most of them are very, very atmospheric. They're not really traditional songs, which it's still playing. So I just disagree with that one. But then again, so that's both music directions I disagree with, which brings me to best romance. Yeah, exactly, Jesse's Mask. That's why Majora's Mask should win. So this is an interesting one. You had a lot of candidates for best romance for the year. So we've got Ryu and Kat, Breath of Fire 2. We've got Link and Marin from Link's Awakening. I have to think about that for a second. We've got Gargaz and his Squig, from Shoot His Blood and Teeth. That's a meme answer. You've got Clive and Jill, which I've talked enough about, which is your number 4 slot. So in the number 3 slot, you've got Link and Zelda, specifically from Spirit Tracks. You know what? Yeah, I'll give it. In your number 2 slot, and this is kind of close, Dion and Terrence from Final Fantasy 16. Pretty solid. But your actual best romance pick for 2024 was... Yes, I swear one of these days we'll stop playing this song. It was Anju and Cafe from Majora's Mask. Even though I picked something else, I have a hard time disagreeing with this one. Yeah, this moment is tragic. The two people facing death together is impressive. Refusing to evacuate, doing everything in his power to spend his final moments with her, to get his mask back just so he could actually prove to her and actually exchange his vows with her. Yeah. No, I'm with it. I get it. I understand completely. I cannot argue it, like I said. I can't argue it. But I'm really tired of hearing that song just because it's a good song. It's a good song. It's just, oh my god. Now, here's a funny one. Yeah, she doesn't even flinch at his appearance. It's a really great moment. There's a reason that's the side quest for that game. Like, that's probably the only thing that qualifies as a primary optional in Majora's Mask, right? Is the Anju and Cafe chain. The couple's mask chain. Great stuff. So, worst romance. We've got Mario and Peach. Paper Mario 1. Yeah. Clive and Jill in FF16. Yeah. Miranda Morris in Star Trek Resurgence, which, credit for even remembering that. You remember that? I actually agree. That was actually legitimately a pretty bad romance. However, the one that won by a colossal margin is Sarah Morgan from Starfield. Now, technically, this is every romance in Starfield, because they're all the same. But I give you guys credit for this, for remembering that we actually romanced Sarah. Do you remember that? We picked her because I usually do when it comes to RPGs, because I want to test and review. That's my job. And it was bad. It was really bad. Toss it on the pile. Throw it in the fire. As usual, Starfield manages another worse. What do we even have to add to this? It was so nothing. It was so nothing. Hey, Jay Palmer, I would like to romance you. Oh, you feel the same way about me? Okay, let's go out. All right, now that we've gone out, let's go ahead and consummate the relationship. We are now a couple. Okay, I'm going to hear a little bit about your backstory. Okay, and okay, we're good. And now you're dead. Sorry, Jay Palmer, I didn't mean to kill you. In my defense, you had to die. You're the romance option. Yet there's... I don't mean to get persnickety about definitions, but... Whoops, I didn't actually mean to hit that button. Sorry. Let me hit this button. Let me be very clear about this. I know that a lot of people conflate... Conflate? Is that the right word? What they think of when they hear romance is sex. Because in a lot of video games, having a romance option means the character you bang. But for me, romance in fiction, whether it's TV show, book, or movie, or whatever, it needs to be something that, like, has some level of romance to it. There's a lot... Is it conflict? Okay. There's a lot of gradients of what romance can mean and how it can be applied and how characters can work with each other. There's all kinds of things that are cool for that. But you need to have something. Right? You need to have some kind of connection that is romantic, an emotional connection. Exactly. There needs to be something there. And there is nothing whatsoever about that connects you to the characters that you can, well, I should say, to Sarah, because she's the one who won. There's nothing that connects you to Sarah. There's no connection. There's no emotional attachment. There is nothing. I don't even think we had sex with her, for that matter. And then they kill her off. And as I talked about during my pick for worst romance, the fact that they kill off your romance option as a near certainty is nonsense on every level. It is amateur hour writing, which makes sense because it's Starfile. Starfile. Starvile? No, vile with a V. Star Vile. I don't even know where that came from. It's a vile star. Oh my god. Moving on. Okay, so now we're up to 6. We're getting there. We're getting there. Let's get into the good stuff here. So, best overall story. Now, I'm pretty simple when it comes to best story. Which game has the best story axis? I literally have metrics for that. But I allow you guys to decide whatever it is. That's true, Jesse's Mask. Whatever it is that defines story for you. Some people define it as plot, some people define it as characters, some people ignore visuals, some people care about visuals. It's whatever it is that's story to you, and I just let that be vague because the whole point is it's your pick, right? So if your pick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In 7th place, we have Link's Awakening. Yeah, I'm with that. Hitman 3, again, absolutely with it. Paper Mario 2, R. Yep. Pentiment. Little surprised it's this far down, if I'm being honest. I get the really strong impression a lot of y'all didn't watch the Pentiment stream because, and I mean no offense by this, a lot of people don't watch streams of games that they don't know. It's just a trend I've noticed. So I imagine a lot of people saw Pentiment, I don't know what that is, and then just didn't tune in or didn't watch the VOD. But Pentiment, number 4. Number 3, Final Fantasy 16. Yeah. Number 2, okay, so these are so close. In fact, actually, let me double check something really quick. Okay, so these are so close, this is almost tied. These are 1 vote off of each other. So if anybody out there didn't vote for this, for best story, you swayed this. And the number 2 slot is Majora's Mask, which leaves our best overall story by 1 vote. For the record, I agree with this. I mean, both games have phenomenal story, in different ways and for different reasons. Inches amongst miles, as I'm fond of saying. Characters, theme, visual presentation, visual storytelling, arc, great stuff. Great stuff. But as we talk about the good, we have to talk about the bad. Worst story. You know what it is. Don't look at me like that. Zelda 1, Star Wars Squadrons, Metroid Other M, and this is actually a spoiler, and I don't care. Without context, it's not a spoiler. But I had to show this. I had to show Starvile. Let's call it that. Because this scene perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with this goddamn game. There's actually another scene which is much more spoilery. I almost used that scene for this footage. So there's another scene that's actually more iconic. Maybe not not iconic. What's the word I'm looking for? Emblematic. There's another scene that's more emblematic of how bad the story is in this game. But again, it's very spoilery, and I don't want to spoil the game for you, so here's this instead. And it just, even if you don't know, like, even if you have no context, yeah? Yeah, no, the other scene is much, much worse. But it's very pretentious. It's very surface level. You can tell at a glance how nothing this scene is, can't you? Just from looking at it. In fact, even if you're looking at it from a production standpoint, look at how... Here, hang on, let me really show you this. Let me zoom up here a little bit. Do you see this? Think of it from a production, like, game design, actually programming the scene perspective, okay? What are we looking at? So there's a couple of props, literally like 5. There's a couple of NPCs who are going through looped animations. And there's the starry effect. That's it. Real talk, this probably took like an afternoon to make. Like, this is pathetic levels of development. And I should also probably mention on top of that, There is, so I'm being facetious. That's not fair. That's not fair. It probably took 2 days, because the second day was probably spent setting up the triggers. Because this is the here's us acknowledging your choices moment. But the thing is, each quest chain is like there's no choice on most of the quest chains. So either you did the quest chain at all, in which case it acknowledges it, or you did it one way or the other, and that's in that case it acknowledges you did it one way or the other. That's it. This is, as so many things in Starfield are, vacuous. Look at that. Devoid of art or design. That's a good point, Van Falken. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. And that is Starfield in a nutshell, isn't it? Starfile, excuse me. Moving on. So that's worst story. What's next? What's next? Best cutscene. Oh my god. Okay, we had a lot of competition for best cutscene. Okay. Now, a lot of these are spoilery, so I'm going to kind of avoid some spoilers here, okay? But this went through 16 iterations of voting, which is the second most we've covered so far. 16. So, best cutscene. Let's just go from the bottom, shall we? So, the big moment halfway through The Messenger. Tiga and Claris's cutscene in Breath of Fire 2. Lord Horik Canarum, extensively long title, from Shoot His Blood and Teeth. Escaping the Mines in the second half of One Shot. Link actually talks in Echoes of Wisdom, in Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. The entire outro from Link Between Worlds. The big Clive and Jill scene in Final Fantasy 16. One second. Confronting the Shadow in Final Fantasy 16. Samus Speaks in Metroid Dread. The outro in Twilight Princess. The transition at the halfway point of Ocarina of Time. The outro of Wind Waker. The outro of Metroid Dread. The outro of Majora's Mask. So that leaves 3. One moment, please. I actually need to look something up. Can't believe this. Hang on a second. Look, Zelda outros tend to stick the landing, okay? It's something they're consistently good at, along with Mario's, actually. Even, say, Final Fantasy games or Mega Man games don't have that consistent of good outros. One moment. Here it is. Aha! Okay. I had to look up. It was so long, it was actually being chopped off of the screen. I would agree with that, Van Falkenstein. So, top 3, right? The number 3 thing is, of course, a meme answer, which is, Y'shtola will have to speak with us later. If you don't get it, don't worry about it. The number 2 scene, so I'm glad that didn't win. Memes should never win. Number 2 slot. Clive reuniting with his uncle in FF16. That is a very good scene. It also pretty much sold me on Byron in like 5 seconds. So, yeah, I am 100% with that. It's a good scene. It's a feel-good moment. It's continuity strong. It's character interesting. Yes. It's a fantastic scene. And I'm almost sad it didn't win, but what you picked for your best cutscene is... I have a hard time arguing this. Because, I mean, it's just such a good sequence. As I said earlier, it is the fulcrum point of the entire game. It does have one flaw, the freaking music problem, the music override. But it is still an amazing sequence with interesting gameplay, whole new pseudo kind of dungeon thing to go through, and wonderful like character, wonderful world building, wonderful plot significance, completely shifts the tone of the work, and establishes a new status quo, as well as pretty much sets up the entire last half of the game. Yeah, no, Midna's Lament sequence is really, really, really good. But what do we go with the worst cutscene? So we've got Velagarmonda is loose in Final Fantasy XIV. I agree, that was a dumb scene. Teepo's final scene in Breath of Fire 3. I'm surprised some of you remembered that, but I agree with that completely, too. That was... Breath of Fire 3 kind of fumbled its outro in many ways. The briefing sequences in Star Wars Squadrons. Agree completely. Fi deciding to... So this is a cheat, but every time Fi interrupted us to say the bleeding obvious to us. Yeah. Annabella Rossfield's final cutscene in FF16. Yeah. The cutscene incompetent scene in FF14 Dawn Trail, which I actually mentioned in my own personal pick. Second worst cutscene of the year. Midna's Lament being interrupted by the music. Your biggest pick, though, doesn't surprise me. Now, I don't want to sound insulting here. But we talked about this. Because there is a scene much, much worse than this in the same game. But the problem is most people haven't seen it. Most people aren't aware of it. So unless you have played the game or watched me play the game, you probably aren't even aware of the scene. So it's no wonder it wasn't nominated, whereas the one that's well known was nominated. So this one is arguably one that's getting nominated for the memes, and that is the PTSD cutscene. Don't mistake me. It's a terrible scene. But as I said, there's worse in this game. This game has some very, very, very serious issues. As I've said before, it's one thing to say that this game is bad. It's another to spend hours going on a deep dive to examine and explain exactly how awful this game really is. So, I'm going to disagree, just because there is so much worse than this. Even for her. Even for ruining Samus as a character, there's worse than this. Having her sloveringly slobber her tongue all over the boots of her abusive father is a bit more character ruiny for me than this nonsense. And Ridley's just yelling at her and not attacking her for some reason. And then, like, the deleter attacks him, and then Anthony saves the day. Like, this is great. So Ridley picks up Samus, right? This is great. Check this out. I got you. I finally decided to do something. She starts to lose concentration. She starts to lose her armor. Then Anthony yells at Ridley. Does nothing. Ridley has a chance to fly up into the air, making him a much harder target. She's really losing concentration now. Sure. Then he finally shoots. Nice shot, by the way. Hang on, we're not done yet, because then Anthony has to come and save the day. Ridley, who's an intelligent psychopathic dragon, I feel like reminding you. Even though this is a clone of him. Spoilers. Oh no, Anthony's only got a few shots left. And then Ridley goes for Anthony. Anthony manages that jump, which is stupid. I just realized you can't see all this. And you know what? I don't even care. Oh no, and Anthony's dead, and Samus is just standing there going, no, Anthony, no. And then she gets up, now that he's fallen over the edge. Well, he is Japanese, Blue Fusion Volt. However, as I talked about during the Other M review, there was some desire by Japanese player bases to make Samus more of a simpering princess damsel to be rescued than a character. So they did that in Other M. But anyways, moving on. So now, most labor of love game. Some fierce competition this time around. Eight iterations. We have Starfield. I stand by it. It is a labor of love game, even if it's crap. Project Wingman. Yeah. Hitman 3. Yeah, I could see that. FF14 Patchwalker. Yeah. Wrapping up and like completely chunking for how things are going to go forwards. Yeah. One Shot. I actually don't know much about the behind the scenes of One Shot, so I'm not sure about that. Paper Mario 2R. Yes. Paper Mario 2R had so much additional work and time and polish put into it in places that absolutely didn't require it. 100%. Doom 4. I have no knowledge of that. So I'm not actually sure about that one. But it didn't win because the two winners are so close to each other as to be, once again, one vote off. So if you voted in this one, you chose this, which is AM2R, which is your number 2 pick, but your pick for the most labor of love game for 2024 is... Oh, hang on. What? Is Lore screwed up the footage? Hang on. Yep, nope, I actually screwed up the footage. Okay, hang on. Nope, that's also Doom 4. That's funny. Okay, how about this? Sure. Is Majora's Mask. I can see what happened, and I can't fix it quickly, so... Is Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask wins for most labor of love game. I am actually still a little bit surprised by this one. But at the same time, I'm kind of not. We know that a lot of the people who poured their heart and soul into this really, really wanted to make this game. And were barely pushing it together, and like they didn't have the kind of support they needed, and they had to fight to even make it happen at all. It was just a whole thing. But these people really wanted to make this game, and yeah, the behind the scenes of this is actually kind of messed up. Literal nightmares went into this game, and yeah, Majora's Mask should have flopped hard, and it didn't. Labor of love. I do agree with Pentiment more than this, but like Majora's Mask, yeah, I'm with it. So, most sushi for you. So this is very dynamic. This is just you guys, what game clicks with you regardless of the quality of the game. Completely regardless of the quality of the game. How it be. So, a lot of picks this year. No surprise. Zelda 1. Yeah. Breath of Fire 2. Yeah. Maneater. Yeah, I'm with it. Also probably technically a meme answer. Untitled Goose Game. Yeah, I'm with it. Deus Ex Human Revolution. I know a lot of people list that as the best Deus Ex game, so I can't argue that. Final Fantasy 16, which actually got quite a few votes. Hitman 3. It's a comfy game, right? You can just hop into Hitman 3 and go do a mission and just kill someone, or not, however you want to. It's actually a pretty good, I feel like chilling for a few minutes kind of a game. Majora's Mask. It's on this list a lot for a reason. It's on this LGA for a lot for a reason. Of course, Majora's Mask is really, really solid. No surprise there. The number 2 slot, Twilight Princess. Again, yeah, I could see it. As has been pointed out by quite a few people, Twilight Princess is Ocarina of Time 2. It is a proper remake of the concept and the idea, and it slaps. However, your pick for best sushi game for 2024... I can't even argue this one. This is probably one of the only Doom 4 wins that just, yeah, I'm with. It has its problems, and I don't think I'll ever replay the entire game again, because just the whole part of like the last third of the game is just whatever. But I cannot argue that this is a fun game to just pick up and have fun with. And, I mean, come on. That map. Oh, that map is amazing. But our contrast to to sushi, is coffee. you had a lot of coffee picks this year. So again, coffee game that you just don't like, that just doesn't click with you, regardless of the quality, usually by specifically acknowledging that the quality of the game is good. So, Citizen Sleeper, which is functionally a board game. So, yeah, I can see that. Maneater. I'm not sure why, but I could see that. Maybe it's too violent. I don't know. Maybe it's too fast-paced. It is a very fast-paced game. Mercenaries 1. Playground of Destruction. Yep, I can see that. Wildermyth. I could see that. It's got some decent design to it, and of course it's a turn-based tactical, but Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Once again, yeah, I can see people who look at that kind of stealth gameplay and just say, nah, I'm good. Paper Mario 2 R. That one hurts a little bit, I'm not going to lie, but I get it. Sometimes you just don't want one of the best RPGs ever made. So, it's just not your thing. It's just not your thing for whatever reasons. That makes sense. Yume Nikki. I disagree that it's a good game, but that was our 4th pick. Number 3. Now, this one I agree with completely. In fact, remember, this is one of the ones I picked, or the one I picked. Doom 5. Doom Eternal is a solid game with lots of problems, and it just absolutely demands so much of the player constantly. By the way, this is yet another vote that was decided by 1 vote. Hang on 1 second, I just need to double check something. Yep, okay. So, in the number 2 slot, 1 vote down is Final Fantasy 16. I put that in there in my own pick, if you remember, and I kind of agree. FF16 is a good game that I can't get into because of that first third. It's just too much. But your pick, by 1 vote, for the most coffee game of 2024 is Breath of the Wild. I realize I have to clarify because Breath and Tears look so similar at a glance. But this is Breath of the Wild. And even if I am to acknowledge some of the quality on display, which there is, yeah, I know, right, Loreium? Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this. There's definitely some good design here. There's some good game here. But I will never touch this game ever again in my life. It is so antithetical to what I want out of entertainment, is the simplest way I could put that. I don't know what else to add to that. It's all a game. Still net positive. A lot of people forget that Breath of the Wild was net positive. It's a very grindy game, too. Of course, this is good music. It's from the title screen. Most game you never heard of until we streamed it. At the bottom, The Messenger. Yeah. Citizen Sleeper. I still know people who never heard of the game. This is my personal favorite, and I kind of wish this one had won. Four Swords Adventures. One of the most common comments I've gotten, both on show and off, is, I thought that was the GBA multiplayer game. Nope. I mean, it is, but most people assume that you have to play it with the GBA controller, and that you have to play multiplayer. No. It's actually a very good single-player game. And one of the most common comments we got on stream was, how are you playing this? And I had to explain that it is a single-player game. A very good one, I feel like adding. But anyways, Ruiner, which I never heard of until I streamed it. Zelda Minish Cap. Ouch. Shadows Over Loathing. Yeah, oh, that tracks. Pentiment. Yeah. And like it or not, for as great of a game it is, Pentiment has never made particularly large waves. It's one of the reasons I keep plugging it today. It's because I want more people to be aware that Pentiment exists. Number 3 slot, Wildermyth. I didn't even know what that was until we played it. Number 2 slot, Kojin Sword of Rewind. How many of you even remember that game? Okay, quick. What genre was it? And finally, most game you never heard of before we streamed it. I know it's kind of like there's not there's a bit of a gradient to never heard of it before. Wait, why is it not playing? Oh, you can't even see it. It's just there's that little going on the screen. There you go. There you go. There you go. So I know there's a gradient of never heard of. Like sometimes you've heard of it, or sometimes the name sounds familiar or whatever. But once you get to the point of you've never heard of this game whatsoever before at all, that's binary, right? Like there's no, like you can't go down from there. There's no heard of less than this. And this was that for me. I had never even heard the name Yumeniki before it was put on my list. Never mind the game itself. So, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Best new meme. I have no idea, Giga. So, you picked a lot of memes for this year. Texas thinks death is a good thing. That came from Wildermyth. So for those of you who weren't there for that, I'm going to explain all these as we go. In Wildermyth, it was made by a Texas studio, and we all thought it was actually an Eastern European studio because the overwhelming majority of the stories were very, very depressing, and they were all about how death is actually a good thing. That's not a joke. I mean that sincerely. So when we found out the developers were from Texas, it just became this big gag that, yeah, Texas apparently thinks death is a good thing. Which, yeah, that makes sense. Next is the scam category, as a categorization for games, which we have given to very, very, very few games. In fact, actually, have I even put that on the website? Let me double check that really quick. But a scam category of a game is exactly what it sounds like. It's a game that is a scam. Yep, only one game has gotten the scam tag. That's what I thought. And that game is Modern Warfare 2R. The game I couldn't even play and was robbed of. The next one, sure, is the Wendy's. I use that joke a lot this year, so that makes sense. The next pick up is actually, it's a specific moment. Yeah, no kidding, Blade which was for during the Mercenaries 1 run, where I was doing an escort quest, and I was sitting there yelling at the NPC to get in the car so I could rush away. He finally gets in the car, and then he says, "God, what took you so long?" And my response was, "You! I was waiting for you!" Your next pick, stop summoning demons. You know, again, step 1, don't summon demons. The next one up, what are we at, like 6 at this point? The 6th one is stress relief killing that one banker. He deserved to die. And I'm going to kill him again. In the number 5 slot, Rax's $4. What game was that? What game was that? Was that Dawn Trail? Oh, it was FF16. It was FF16. Yeah, didn't I say banker? I swear I said banker. It was FF16. Yeah, Rax had been on me for like the better part of a year to play FF16 and how much he couldn't wait till I played FF16. And he really wanted me to play FF16 and blah, 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 blah. And he donated $4 toward it. And I couldn't stop making fun of him for it. Speaking of 4, the number 4 slot for your pick is, okay, so his dick is so big. And I already explained why that's a thing. That's a Loreium, not a meme. And I already explained why that's a thing in the previous VOD. So that leaves us with number 3. Why'd you do it? So I actually heard my voice. Give me a second. Okay. So that didn't win. Number 2. Don't clip that. Something I say throughout the course of the year in order to get people to clip things so I could then put them on shorts on YouTube is, don't clip that. But your pick for the best new meme or Loreium is this is sort of a gimme. Starvile. This game is so bad. It really has sort of like, it's not the worst game I've ever reviewed, but it really has established a lot of new baselines for how we review games. I have quite literally developed new procedures of how I grade and quantify certain aspects of certain design because of this game. I actually had to go back and do a little small bit of auditing because stuff in this game made me rethink certain categories. And of course, this cost me a few $100. So, yeah. And here's a category that only exists for you all. The game you were most inclined to buy thanks to me streaming it. I admit I like this category being here because it's kind of a personal thing. Like, it helps to know that at least some games out there you were interested in picking up because I streamed them. So, in order, from worst to best, Lunar, SSSC, which, yeah, I'm with that. Tinykin, another great game if you're interested in 3D platformers or interested in that kind of puzzle platformer collectathon kind of a thing. Absolutely. Zelda Twilight Princess. Yes, best Zelda game. Great game. Absolutely. AM2R. I will never stop plugging AM2R. It's a little harder to get hold of nowadays because Nintendo sent out a takedown because Nintendo's corporate layers are literally the devil. However, I absolutely recommend picking up AM2R if you get the opportunity to do so. It's a great Metroid game, really. Oxygen Not Included. I'm a little surprised by that one, but a lot of people voted for that. And you know what? I'm with it. Oxygen Not Included is actually a pretty solid game. It's a fun, like, base sim management game. Great game overall. I do have issues with it, and I might never play it again unless I fix the power issue. But yeah, no, that's solid. Maneater. This is another one. If Maneater was just such a knockout game for us, I have gotten a tremendous, yeah, I saw that psychotic. I've gotten a tremendous amount of positive feedback about the Maneater stream. And I know people personally who have picked up that game because of me. So, yep. Pokemon Arceus. I've gotten some really great feedback about this one. I have had people reach out to me and tell me that they were so sick of the typical Pokemon format that they just didn't want to play any of the recent games, including Violet or Scarlet. They watched me play Arceus and were like, damn, and decided to pick up Arceus because of my stream. Thank you for the feedback. Number 3, this one really makes me smile. Pentiment. Yes, it's a great game. It's great. Try it out. It's very particular. It's very niche. As I said, the gameplay itself is fairly limiting. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, the primary gameplay loop is time management. But it is still a very solid game, and I highly recommend it. Hitman 3. I'm a little surprised by that. Hitman has always had a little bit of star power, regardless of me. You know, most of the games on this list are relatively niche, or games that are part of a franchise that people walked away from. Hitman? Really? I'm surprised by that, but I got a lot of votes for Hitman 3. Not as many, however, as I got for this. I have, as much as several people say they just didn't care for it and it was just coffee and they couldn't get into the aesthetic or whatever, I have heard from quite literally dozens of people that they have decided to pick this game up because of me streaming it. In fact, I have heard today from people who are planning to or have picked up this game because it was that freaking good. I recommend this game. It's really freaking good. I don't have much else to add to that. Let's do this. Let's wrap this up. We've only got 4 categories left. I mean, yeah, the GameCube was a weird thing when it comes to its footprint with regards to the gaming space. Oh, it's a baby game for babies. Let's play a real game. What was the funniest stream of the year? You guys didn't nominate too much, which makes sense. I'm not a very funny person. But there were several you picked, which include Star Trek Resurgence, which we couldn't stop making fun of, so yeah. Cthulhu Saves the World, a literal parody game. That makes sense. Shoot Us Blood and Teeth, another parody game. Makes sense. Maneater, yeah, constantly eating people was fantastic. Untitled Goose Game, yeah, no, the Untitled Goose Game was a great stream. But your pick for the funniest stream of the year was Starfield. Now, I was pretty proud of this stream, and as I mentioned, I consider it to be a very good stream. I'm surprised you picked it for funniest, but I'm not going to argue it. I'm just glad someone decided to find some levels of humor from this goddamn stream. Oh my god. There were moments where I was just... I couldn't even. Oh yeah, I actually picked this dialogue specifically. So that's Sarah, right? She's our companion. And I just murdered a person in cold blood right in front of her. She talks to us, and she's like, hey, I need you to listen to me. Members of Constellation are held in the highest regard. You persist on making poor decisions that reflect badly on us. Because you're bending over backwards to help me right now, I'll stick by your side. But know that I don't approve of this behavior one bit. And yeah, I literally shove a corpse into her face. Literally, I'm just shoving a corpse into her face, and she is just like, nope. Regardless of the fact that the game can't even acknowledge that I'm shoving a corpse into her face, the fact of the matter is, ignore what I'm doing right now. The fact of the matter is, if you remember, during this part of the game, we went on a murder spree and depopulated this entire section of the city, and she berates us, and then immediately just rejoins the party. She doesn't even rejoin, she just is still in the party. She's like, yep. The game, I mean, it's very funny, I agree, but the game had such a lack of consequence. Excuse me, officer. Officer, hello, officer. Hi, yeah, here, I murdered this man. I murdered this man. The game doesn't care. It doesn't understand the concept of consequence. And so, yeah, we spent like an entire shift just throwing this around and making it. Yeah, this was the game where I made someone kneel down on a staircase and left them there forever. Yeah, I could see that being funny. Which leads me immediately to the stream of the year. Okay, so best overall stream of the year for you. At the bottom, Ocarina of Time, which I think was a pretty solid stream. Maneater keeps showing up. Star Trek Resurgence, yeah, that was a really good stream. Untitled Goose Game, that was a very good stream. Metroid Other M, I'm actually really amused by that one, but yeah, that was a pretty solid stream. We did a lot on that one. Hitman 3, I'm a little surprised people liked that one because we weren't showing off even like nearly as much of the content as I wanted to, but apparently we were still doing a good enough job of being ridiculous and funny with it, and that is, after all, one of the main benefits of Hitman 3, so I'm glad you liked it. For number 3, Paper Mario 2 R. Yeah, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop gushing about it. It was so good. For number 2, Twilight Princess. Okay, I'm with it. But your guys' pick for the stream of the year... You'll notice that this is just footage of me sitting here at the menu talking. Because, and I chose this footage for this very specifically, because I feel like this is why everyone loved this stream, including me. Because the best parts of this stream, at least from my perspective, were when we'd pause the game and talk about everything that it screwed up. If you remember, that's the inverse of that is exactly what I liked about the Super Metroid stream, right? Or the Doom 4 stream, where I'd have to pause because the previous section had so much it was doing right that I had to pause and really dissect it. Same exact thing with Starfield. We would do something, and it was so bad, I had to pause and just talk about it for 30 minutes. A lot of these pauses, this is footage, by the way, you can't tell. This is not a picture. This is live footage from the game, from my VOD of this game. And it's just us sitting here talking. about whatever the hell had happened right before this. And yeah, Secret of the Stars also won Stream of the Year that particular year. So, worst game of 2024 for you across all metrics. You don't use the golden number. You use whatever metric you want to. You picked Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, Yume Nikki R, Age of Sigmar. Yeah, God, that game. That freaking game. I was so mad. Metroid Other M. And the number 2 slot. Can I get a small drum roll, please? In the number 2 slot, Modern Warfare 2R. Making the worst game of 2024. This is a scene where I murder Sarah in front of everybody. She's not even reacting to this, by the way. She's just standing there while I murder her. Just hang on. And then she dies. She's essential, of course, so she just goes down. No one else is even reacting. No one else has even said anything. Those two are literally having a random conversation. This scene, I chose this scene. I spent, like, God, 20 minutes looking for this scene. Because I wanted to use this scene to explain why this is the worst game of 2024. Because there's so many things this game does wrong. But this scene is such a great encapsulation of them. She's already back up, by the way. If you go and talk to her, she doesn't say it. She's just like, hey, what's up? She acts like nothing happened. Her blood is still on the ground, and she is completely ignoring everything. This is Starfield. You know what Starfield is? It's a small world ride at Disneyland. It's not positive. It's not a catchy song. It's not an interesting ride. It's kind of cramped. It smells a little bad. It's just surface level dreck. It is the most bare bones attempt to invoke things and failing at every single level top to bottom. It is not deep. It is not invocative. It has no good gameplay. It has no good, very, very few good bits of actual positive story. It is the worst because tremendous amounts of time and effort and work and money were put into making this pile of wallpaper paste. Yes, actually, Loke, that is a good counterexample. And it's just... yeah, it's Starvile. It's Starvile. And I will never touch it again. May God have mercy on its soul. Yeah, I apologize to Wallpaper Paste. Listen to this music. Isn't that uplifting? Doesn't it really make you feel anything at all? No, it does not. So, again, you don't have to follow the golden number. So what is your best game of 2024? At the bottom. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the number 9 slot. Untitled Goose Game. No judgment. I know people who do challenge runs and speed runs of that game. No judgment. My niece likes to play it. Number 8. Little sad this is so far down, but Super Metroid. Yeah, Super Metroid is awesome. Number, what do we have? 7. FF14 Dawn Trail. Honestly, a little surprised that's on the list at all, but at the same time, I'm kind of with it. In fact, I think most of you enjoyed Dawn Trail more than I did. I was pretty critical of Dawn Trail, which is funny when you think about it. Number 6, Majora's Mask. Yeah, great game. Number 5, Metroid Dread. Once again, great game, no surprise. Number 4, Final Fantasy 16. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised this one didn't win. I was anticipating FF16 would win this year. But instead, it was beaten by the number 3 slot, which was Paper Mario 2R. So what could possibly beat Paper Mario 2? In the number 2 slot, can I get a drum roll soon, by the way? In number 2 slot, Hitman 3. I am a little surprised Hitman 3 is that far up the list. And right at the top, winning by 1 vote, again, that happens a lot with us. What? Okay. Twilight Princess. Doom 4 wasn't even nominated. So, this doesn't look a lot like Twilight Princess for some strange reason. And I can actually explain why. And this is my fault. And I honestly didn't think this would be an issue. So, whoever did this, I just want to say thanks for that. So here's the deal. I recorded all this footage last week. And I discovered yesterday that there's a way to freeze voting. So what that means is in between last week, when this game, Hitman 3, was the winner, and yesterday, when I froze the votes, 2 people voted for Twilight Princess, which pushed Twilight Princess to the top of the list. I'm still going to give it to, because I stopped counting the vote at this point in time, Hitman 3. So, Twilight Princess is in the number 2 slot. Hitman 3 is the winner. I apologize for not knowing that I could pause the vote. It's kind of a pain, I apologize. Hitman 3 is a phenomenal game. It is a game, as we talked about as we're going through it, it's a game that you could apply this formula and structure to an enormous number of franchises in multiple different ways and formats, and it would work wonderfully. There's so much. There's so much going on that they do so right. The social stealth thing, the incredible depth of how the AI functions and operates, the amazing depth and complexity of the levels and the kit and the variety and placement of items. That's itemization. The kit itself and what you can use and how the disguises and how many different layers they allow you to interact with what and where and how. Some truly phenomenal encounter design and level design. Like you saw it earlier. I wasn't talking about it. But if we scooch back up here, you can watch back during this earlier section. This is a great bit of encounter design. Like, what happens as it's building up is more and more people walk into the room, all of whom have guns, and they're all trained on you. So how do you deal with it? Well, you would give it a prompt, because you've already seeded the room when you walked into it. And you can do whatever you want in here before they show up. But the game gives you that. It gives you cover, and it gives you a shotgun. Yeah, Hitman 3 does pretty much everything right to some extent or another. And that's the important part. It even has an engaging story, interesting characters. Yeah, it even got away with literally robbing me. It's worth noting this game didn't score quite as well as it should because, and I want to stress this for a moment, it literally robbed me. I don't know what else to add to that. This game is very, 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 very good. Despite the over-monetization, despite the obfuscation, despite the literal goddamned robbery. So you know it's a damn good game when I'm praising it, despite that. And yeah, the game was actually a huge risk, go figure. And here we are. That's true on Valkenstein, that's true. But screw it, I still give it the negatives. And I stand by them. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was your picks for 2024. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've enjoyed all of this. This is a lot of work, and I've learned a couple things about how to do this better next year. So far, this year has been interesting, because all of this year, so far, has been one game, which is WoW. WoW will qualify for 2025, for those of you wondering. So I anticipate WoW sweeping every category for the LGAs for 2025. I want to see WoW in every single nomination. I'm barely kidding. WoW is such a gargantuan game. It's going to get a bunch of bests, worsts, and everything in between, I'm sure. But we're not done with WoW yet. Starting, I am Jay Palmer with that infinite amount of spare time I have. Even worst game. I picture there's some people who will nominate it for worst game. I won't. However, most coffee, yeah, and most sushi, yeah, I could see both of those. So tomorrow, for those of you not aware, we're starting BFA, obviously tomorrow, but we're not jumping right into BFA. Instead, we've got to do a couple little bits of cleanup, just a couple little things. It will not be long. And then once we're done with those, then we'll start BFA proper. Right now, I gotta go rest my throat. I'll see you guys.